Chase ends at that point. Confusion subsides. The never-ending cerebral riddles that used to drain vitality, they vanish. Why? Because the Sigma sees the riddle plainly, free of illusions, and no longer wastes time attempting to figure it out. This awakening often comes after something powerful, like a brutal heartbreak that shatters old beliefs. Psychological studies show that emotional pain can trigger deep self-reflection, rewiring how we perceive relationships. Or maybe it emerges after years of quiet observation, like a scientist watching behavior through a glass wall, patiently piecing together patterns others miss. Research in social psychology suggests women, like all humans, respond best to authenticity and confidence rather than manipulation or guessing games. The Sigma's breakthrough is understanding this. Relationships aren't puzzles to solve, but connections to build through genuine presence. Once this truth lands, it's irreversible. Most men never glimpse it. They stay stuck chasing illusions or playing roles. But the Sigma male moves beyond all that, operating on a different level entirely, calm, self-assured, and free. Ready to unlock it? Let's dive in and explore how this profound insight transforms not only how you relate to women, but also how you live your life as a Sigma. This isn't just about dating, it's about mastery, freedom, and authenticity. Point 1, the Sigma male's core understanding: women are not a prize to win. Let's kick off with a big one. Sigma males don't chase women because they see them as trophies. This is a mindset trap that many fall into, thinking women are the finish line of a race or a prize to be won. But here's the truth: women are not prizes, they are people. Complex and intriguing, with their own desires, challenges, and depth. Understanding this is a game changer for any man, but especially for Sigmas. When a Sigma male truly internalizes this perspective, his entire energy shifts. Instead of chasing validation or approval, he naturally attracts because he respects and values women as equals. This genuine respect becomes magnetic, drawing others in without effort. Psychologically, this aligns with the concept of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. When you act from extrinsic motivation, seeking external rewards like approval or validation, you come across as needy or desperate. On the other hand, intrinsic motivation, which comes from within and is based on authentic respect and genuine interest, radiates confidence and self-assuredness. Women, and people in general, can sense this authenticity and respond positively to it. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how the most confident guys aren't scrambling to impress? They're calm, composed, and authentic. And ironically, that's exactly when women actually take notice. This isn't just a cliche. Studies in social psychology show that authenticity is a key factor in attraction. People are drawn to those who are genuine, rather than those who try too hard to fit a mold or impress others. Trying to win a woman's approval like she's a game show host handing out prizes is like bringing a butter knife to a sword fight, awkward and ineffective. The energy of chasing implies a lack of self-worth and signals neediness, which is a natural turn-off. Sigma males, in contrast, don't need external validation because they have cultivated a strong internal sense of self. This self-reliance and respect for others create an effortless dynamic where attraction happens naturally. In essence, Sigma males understand that relationships are partnerships between equals, not competitions to be won. When this mindset takes root, it transforms not only how they interact with women, but also how they see themselves, free from societal pressures to conform or compete. That's true power. Point 2, understanding emotional intelligence in women. Sigma males have a unique advantage when it comes to understanding women. They recognize that communication isn't just about the words spoken. Women often communicate on multiple levels, through emotions, subtle body language, and the overall energy they radiate. This can feel like an entirely different language for many men who are stuck in what psychologists call logic mode, where everything is filtered through problem solving and straightforward facts. Research in emotional intelligence, EI, shows that women tend to score higher on recognizing and expressing emotions, which means their communication often involves layers beyond verbal language. Sigma males intuitively pick up on these layers because they operate with high emotional intelligence themselves. Emotional intelligence isn't just about feeling emotions, it's about understanding them, managing your own reactions, and responding thoughtfully to others. Here's the secret. It's not about rushing to fix a problem when a woman shares something emotional. Many men fall into the trap of wanting to solve problems immediately. But emotional connection often requires something different, simply being present and actively listening. When a Sigma male listens attentively without interrupting or jumping to conclusions, it builds trust and deepens the connection. Picture this scenario. A woman tells you about a frustrating day at work. Instead of offering solutions like "you should talk to your boss," a Sigma male understands she might just want to vent, to feel heard and validated. This ability to hold space without judgment is a key trait of emotional intelligence and a major factor in why Sigmas connect on a deeper level. Think of women's communication like an emotional Wi-Fi signal. If you don't tune your receiver properly, you'll experience buffering, awkward pauses, misunderstandings, or missed cues. But once you adjust the frequency by paying attention to tone, body language, and emotional context, the connection becomes smooth, clear, and meaningful. This subtle emotional attunement helps Sigma males avoid the confusion and frustration many experience in relationships. It's not about decoding a mystery. It's about embracing emotional nuance with curiosity and calm confidence. This approach doesn't just improve communication. It creates a space where both people feel safe, respected, and genuinely understood. In short, mastering this emotional language is one of the hidden superpowers of the Sigma male, a quiet strength that leads to authentic, meaningful relationships. Point 3, the power of independence and space. Women appreciate a man who is truly independent. But independence isn't just about doing everything alone or never needing anyone. The real secret? It's about being comfortable with space and silence. This is where Sigma males truly stand out. Unlike many who fear quiet moments or crave constant interaction, Sigmas cherish their solitude. And that solitude isn't loneliness, it's a source of strength and clarity. Psychology tells us that people who are comfortable being alone tend to be more self-aware and emotionally balanced. Sigmas tap into this by using their alone time to recharge, reflect, and pursue their passions. Women notice this. They see a man who isn't desperate for attention, who has his own goals and life outside the relationship. This kind of independence is magnetic because it signals emotional maturity and confidence. However, independence isn't the same as emotional distance. It's a common misconception. Emotional distance means shutting people out. But true independence means you're secure enough in yourself to share your feelings when it matters without losing your identity. A Sigma man knows how to balance this. He values his freedom yet remains emotionally available. This balance creates a relationship based on respect, trust, and genuine connection rather than neediness or control. Here's a practical tip. Don't flood her phone with texts or calls. Studies show that over-texting can reduce attraction because it signals insecurity. Instead, keep a little mystery. Let her wonder what you're up to. Let her chase you sometimes. This dynamic creates excitement and keeps the connection fresh. After all, mystery is an incredible ally in building attraction. In essence, being independent means owning your life, loving your space, and inviting her to join you in your journey, not to fill a void, but to share a rich, fulfilling experience together. That's the power of Sigma independence, and it's deeply attractive. Point 4. Women are attracted to authenticity, not perfection. In today's world, society bombards us with the idea of perfection, the flawless appearance, the ideal career, the picture-perfect life. Social media especially fuels this illusion, showcasing highlight reels that make everyone feel like they're falling short. But here's a fascinating truth. While society pushes perfection, what truly draws people, especially women, is authenticity. Women, often more intuitive about emotional energy than men realize, are deeply attracted to realness. It's the genuine, imperfect, raw version of a person that creates connection and trust. Sigma males who grasp this understand that trying to fit into a cookie-cutter mold of perfect is not only exhausting but ultimately unappealing. Instead of chasing perfection, they embrace their quirks, flaws, and personal style. This kind of vulnerability is magnetic because it signals confidence and comfort in one's own skin. Think about it from a psychological perspective. People are wired to seek authenticity. Studies in social psychology show that genuine self-expression fosters stronger relationships because it promotes trust and emotional safety. When someone drops the act and reveals who they really are, it's refreshing and rare. That's why authenticity becomes a powerful form of attraction. Trying to be perfect is like wearing a mask 24/7. It's tiring, limits true expression, and can come off as fake or inauthentic. On the other hand, authenticity invites others in. It's warm, approachable, and memorable. Picture a Sigma male confidently wearing socks with sandals, a style choice many would shy away from due to social norms or fear of judgment, but owning it, that's pure authenticity. That boldness says, I'm comfortable with myself and I don't need your approval. And guess what? That kind of self-assurance is incredibly attractive. In the end, perfection fades, but realness resonates. Sigmas who embrace their true selves create a magnetic pull that no superficial perfection could ever match. Point 5. Communication is more about quality than quantity. Sigma males have a distinct communication style that sets them apart. They understand the power of meaningful conversation over superficial chatter. Research in social psychology shows that deep, authentic conversations foster stronger emotional bonds and create a sense of trust and intimacy between people. Sigmas intuitively grasp this and prioritize quality over quantity in their interactions. Women, like most people, crave genuine connection. Studies in relationship science reveal that meaningful dialogue increases feelings of closeness and satisfaction in relationships far more than small talk does. This explains why women often appreciate conversations that go beyond the surface level. They want to feel truly heard and understood, not just exchange routine pleasantries. When a Sigma speaks, every word carries intention. Instead of filling silence with meaningless noise, he listens actively, reflects thoughtfully, and shares in ways that invite openness. Active listening is a key communication skill linked to empathy and emotional intelligence, both traits that Sigmas typically exhibit. This creates a safe space where both people feel valued and understood, fostering a connection that's much more profound than casual banter. Consider the difference between the common "how was your day" and the Sigma-inspired "what's something that made you smile today?" The latter invites a positive, specific response that opens the door to sharing stories and emotions. It's an example of a conversation starter that encourages vulnerability and connection, rather than a generic question that often gets a one-word answer. Ultimately, Sigma males show us that less can be more when it comes to communication. One well-placed word or meaningful question can unlock layers of personality and emotion, building relationships that are rich, authentic, and deeply satisfying. This approach not only distinguishes Sigmas, but also teaches us all a valuable lesson. True connection comes from the heart, not just the mouth. Point 6. Respect boundaries, but know when to lead. One of the defining traits of a Sigma male is the unique way he balances leadership and respect, especially in relationships. It's a subtle art, not about dominating or controlling, but about confidently guiding while honoring boundaries. Women, according to numerous social psychology studies, value emotional safety and respect just as much as they appreciate confidence and decisiveness in a partner. This means the ideal partner isn't just the loudest or most commanding voice in the room, but someone who knows when to step forward and when to listen. Sigma males get this balance right. They lead without overpowering. Think about leadership not as a show of strength, but as a clear sense of direction mixed with empathy. A Sigma male's leadership shines in his confidence to make decisions, like planning a date, while still inviting input and valuing her preferences. For example, instead of bluntly deciding, "We're going to this restaurant," a Sigma male might say, "I thought about these 2 spots for dinner. What do you think?" This approach shows he's taking charge, but also respects her choice, creating a partnership rather than a dictatorship. Why does this work so well? Because respect for boundaries builds trust. Psychological research shows that when people feel respected, they are more open, engaged, and willing to connect on a deeper level. By honoring a woman's limits and preferences, a Sigma male creates a safe space for genuine connection. At the same time, decisiveness avoids confusion or indecision, traits often linked with lower confidence and can lead to frustration. Confident decision-making signals that he knows himself and where he's going in life, a quality universally attractive and reassuring. So the real leadership Sigma males master is not about being in charge at all costs. It's about clarity and purpose, kindness in delivery, and respect in every interaction. This combination makes for a magnetic, authentic connection where both partners feel seen, heard, and valued. Point 7. Women appreciate strength, but emotional strength. Strength isn't just about muscles or money, it runs much deeper. True strength lies in emotional resilience and maturity. This kind of strength is what genuinely attracts people, especially women, because it shows you can handle life's twists and turns without falling apart. When a Sigma male stays calm and composed through challenges, it sends a powerful message. He's reliable and safe to lean on. Emotional resilience means bouncing back from setbacks, managing stress well, and keeping a balanced mindset, even when things get tough. This doesn't mean being cold or unfeeling. Quite the opposite. Being emotionally strong means being authentic with your feelings. It's okay to cry during a sad movie or express vulnerability. Research in psychology shows that embracing emotions rather than suppressing them leads to better mental health and stronger relationships. Women, and people in general, appreciate someone who can be open and real, not someone pretending to be invincible. So emotional maturity, knowing when to be strong and when to be vulnerable, is one of the most attractive qualities a Sigma can have. It shows confidence, self-awareness, and a genuine connection to the world around him. Point 8, the Sigma male's secret weapon, mystery and depth. Sigmas naturally carry an air of mystery because they don't rush to share everything about themselves. This isn't about being secretive just to hide things, but a conscious choice to preserve their depth and individuality. Psychologically, humans are wired for curiosity. When information is missing, our minds try to fill in the blanks. This makes mystery incredibly captivating. Women in particular often value emotional depth and complexity. They appreciate stories, passions, and layers beneath the surface that hint at a person's true character. A Sigma male's reserved nature sparks curiosity and intrigue. Rather than revealing everything up front, he lets his personality unfold slowly and thoughtfully, like a gripping movie or novel that keeps you hooked. Social psychology research shows that people who reveal too much too soon can lose their appeal because surprise and discovery vanish. A slow reveal encourages emotional connection and lasting interest. So on a first date, don't overshare. Let curiosity grow naturally, keeping the fascination alive. When a Sigma male truly understands women, his entire approach changes, from chasing validation to attracting through respect and authenticity. Instead of shallow small talk, he communicates deeply, building genuine connections. This isn't about losing independence. It's about balancing self-reliance with meaningful bonds. A Sigma leads with quiet confidence and kindness, not arrogance or control. He sees growth as a lifelong journey, always evolving. This transformation is what I call the Sigma evolution. It's how you move from being just another single guy to someone magnetically attractive and emotionally connected. Research shows that emotional intelligence and authentic communication are key to forming lasting relationships, and Sigmas excel here. So, what's next for you? Will you stick to old habits or step into this new Sigma power rooted in respect, confidence, and emotional depth? This mindset shift is the foundation for transforming not only your relationships, but your entire life. Stay true, stay Sigma. You're being watched, judged, or subtly challenged, but you can't quite put your finger on it? That's no coincidence, Sigma. It's not paranoia, it's perception. Sigma males carry an energy that silently commands attention, and people, especially women, notice. But that attention isn't always admiration. Often it comes with curiosity, confusion, or even a desire to crack your code. See, unlike alpha males who dominate socially or beta males who follow the crowd, Sigma males are lone wolves, self-reliant, emotionally composed, and indifferent to approval. That's a dynamic most people aren't used to. Women, in particular, are biologically wired to assess potential partners through subconscious tests. A blend of psychological probing and social observation. It's rooted in evolutionary psychology. Testing behavior evolved as a way to gauge strength, reliability, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. But when women encounter a Sigma, that playbook doesn't work the same. You don't react the way others do. You don't compete for attention, you don't boast, and you certainly don't chase. That's both intriguing and frustrating for those trying to gauge your worth. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." When women feel off balance around you, it's often because you're reflecting something in them they haven't yet named. Perhaps a longing for peace, mystery, or self-assuredness. So they test you, not to break you, but to understand what makes you so different. These tests can be subtle, delayed replies, playful provocations, questions that poke at your ego. But they're not attacks, they're puzzles, and how you respond calmly, confidently, without compromise, tells the story. This video isn't just about decoding women's behavior. It's about reinforcing your Sigma mindset, because while others chase validation, you're mastering the art of restraint, presence, and purpose. Welcome back, Sigmas. Today, we dive deep into the 7 ways women secretly test you and how each one is an opportunity to show the world that your power doesn't come from noise, but from silence. Let's get into it. Number 1, the emotional availability test. You're calm, you don't overshare, you don't wear your emotions on your sleeve. To most women, that's both attractive and suspicious. Why? Because we live in a culture that glorifies vulnerability, constant communication, and emotional transparency. Social media encourages people to spill their feelings online, and society often mistakes emotional display for emotional depth. But Sigma males operate differently. You're inward processors, quiet observers of the world rather than loud participants. That mystery, that emotional restraint, makes people, especially women, lean in. They wonder, are you emotionally unavailable or just in complete control of yourself? It's not uncommon for a woman to subtly test your emotional range. Maybe she'll share something painful just to gauge your empathy, or she might pull away for a while, watching to see if you'll react. These aren't games as much as they are subconscious probes, attempts to explore the emotional territory beneath your stoic exterior. But the Sigma doesn't fall for performative empathy. You don't manufacture feelings just to appease someone. You listen, you process, and when you do speak, it's deliberate and grounded. That's rare, it's powerful, and it's often misunderstood. Many mistake emotional self-regulation for emotional repression, but psychology tells a different story. Studies show that people who can manage their emotional responses tend to have better long-term relationships, improved mental health, and higher leadership potential. In fact, emotional regulation is one of the core components of emotional intelligence, a skill set that includes self-awareness, empathy, and social awareness. Sigma males just happen to be masters of that. You don't need to cry to prove you care. You don't need to explode to show you're angry. Your strength is in your silence, your patience, your precision. And when you do respond, it's not for show, it's real. This level of control isn't coldness, it's discipline. It's like a samurai wielding his sword only when absolutely necessary, and that's intimidating. It disrupts the emotional rhythms others are used to. But don't apologize for that. You're not broken, you're built differently. And that difference, it's what sets you apart from every other man in the room. You're the calm in chaos, the still water that runs deep, the unreadable face that speaks volumes without saying much. That's not a weakness. That's your power. Number 2, the jealousy test. Women have long understood that if they want to test a man's ego, jealousy can be a powerful tool. Whether it's casually bringing up an ex-boyfriend, laughing just a little too loud at another man's joke, or even overtly flirting with someone else right in front of him, these subtle moves aren't accidental, they're intentional experiments. Psychologists suggest that jealousy is often used as a means to provoke validation. In simple terms, if a guy gets visibly upset or possessive, it supposedly proves he cares or is emotionally invested. And for most men, these tactics work like a charm, but not for the Sigma male. You see, Sigma males are wired differently. They don't fall into the emotional traps set by others, and they definitely don't respond on cue. When a woman tries to provoke jealousy, the Sigma doesn't panic, confront, or act out. Instead, he becomes still, quietly watching like a chess master who knows the game is already his. This isn't passivity, it's control. The Sigma has trained himself not to react impulsively because he understands that emotional discipline is real strength. He's detached, not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to be manipulated by petty tactics. This unshakable composure makes women both nervous and deeply intrigued. It flips the script. Suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. The woman realizes she's not dealing with someone ordinary. While other men might compete, grovel, or puff their chests to win her attention, the Sigma remains unaffected, self-assured, and unbothered. He doesn't feel the need to prove anything because he already knows his worth. He doesn't fear losing her, and ironically, that's what often makes him impossible to lose. Modern psychology backs this up. Studies on attachment theory suggest that people with high self-worth and secure attachment styles don't easily succumb to jealousy because their sense of identity isn't reliant on another's behavior. That's the Sigma. His confidence isn't fragile, it's forged in solitude, reflection, and experience. And so, when faced with ego games or jealousy traps, he doesn't play, he transcends. While others are busy flexing their biceps or bank accounts to get a woman's attention, the Sigma is flexing something far more rare, emotional independence. And in a world full of noise and neediness, that silence, that calm, that detachment is deafening. It leaves an impression, it makes her wonder, and most importantly, it makes her respect you. Number 3, the can I distract him test. She knows you're mission-driven. It's written all over your energy. Your eyes reflect purpose, your habits show discipline, and your time isn't spent aimlessly. You've got goals, a vision that stretches beyond the day-to-day, and a roadmap to a future that demands your full attention. And as much as she might admire that, it also intimidates her. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your unwavering commitment makes her question where she fits in. That's when the subtle sabotage kicks in. It might start with something as small as inviting you out when she knows you're knee-deep in a project, or calling you at the exact moment you sit down to focus. She may stir up emotional mini-dramas, not because she's evil, but because she's trying to measure her emotional gravity in your orbit. Will you abandon your mission to attend to her? Will you let go of your priorities to prove that she's the top one? This kind of behavior isn't always conscious. Psychology refers to this as testing boundaries, a behavior rooted in attachment styles and the need for reassurance. People often test how much they matter by seeing what you're willing to compromise. In your case, it's your mission. But here's the key. Sigma, your strength lies in not breaking focus. Not because you don't care, but because you care about your purpose, about being a man of integrity. Discipline is your love language to the world. You understand what psychologists call delayed gratification, the ability to resist short-term temptations for long-term rewards, a trait directly linked to higher achievement and mental resilience. So when she sees that you're not easily shaken, that no amount of emotional turbulence can derail your course, it sends a powerful message. You become less like a leaf in the wind and more like a mountain unmoved by storms. And whether she admits it or not, that consistency earns her respect. Because in a world full of distracted men, a focused one stands out. Kings don't abandon their kingdom for temporary distraction. They rule with focus, purpose, and clarity. They don't panic when emotions rise. They assess, respond, and return to the throne. And in doing so, they invite the right kind of woman, one who doesn't seek to derail them but desires to walk beside them. Stay the course. Let your mission speak louder than any momentary test. Number 4, the silent treatment trap. Oh, this one's a classic psychological game, and it's older than texting itself. You didn't reply fast enough to her message. You didn't jump at the chance to validate every single emotional cue she sent your way. Suddenly you're met with silence. Not just any silence, but the kind laced with passive-aggressive undertones. It's the emotional equivalent of leaving a room and slamming the door just hard enough to be heard, but not hard enough to own up to the drama. And what's expected of you? To chase, to apologize, to over-explain. But here's where Sigma males draw the line, because they see the script before it's even acted out. This is where emotional intelligence kicks in. Silence, while often portrayed as power, is not always rooted in strength. Sometimes it's just strategy, an old-school tactic pulled straight from the pages of emotional manipulation. Research in psychology, particularly in interpersonal dynamics, reveals that the silent treatment is one of the most commonly used forms of emotional control designed to provoke guilt, anxiety, or submission in the other person. But a Sigma doesn't bite that bait. Instead of dancing to the beat of emotional coercion, he stands still. He observes. This isn't aloofness, it's emotional mastery. The Sigma understands that true strength lies in restraint, not reaction. While she's playing checkers, he's playing chess. He weighs the motive behind the silence and chooses his next move with clarity, not desperation. Sometimes he responds with calm patience. Sometimes he doesn't respond at all. But either way, it's not about winning the game. It's about not playing games in the first place. Sigmas value transparency and authentic connection. If the silence is a cry for attention, it's met with grounded presence. But if it's a power play, it meets a brick wall of self-respect. And here's the kicker. While she's mapping out emotional traps and wondering why her silence isn't working, he's focused on growth. Maybe he's reading, maybe he's at the gym, Or maybe he's literally calculating compound interest because he knows emotional stability and financial independence go hand in hand. The Sigma male doesn't just refuse to be manipulated, he thrives because of that refusal. He understands that chasing validation is a game of diminishing returns, so instead he invests in himself where the real interest pays off. Number 5, the let me lead you off course challenge. Sometimes a woman will test your leadership not by questioning your choices directly, but by subtly challenging the very core of what you stand for. She might mock your discipline when you choose the gym over a lazy evening. She might question your moral compass when you refuse to engage in gossip or compromise your integrity, or she might push your boundaries, trying to get you to say yes when you've already drawn a firm line. But here's the catch, she's not always doing this to bring you down. In many cases, she's watching closely to see if your actions match your values. It's a test, not of domination, but of conviction. She wants to know, are you the kind of man who stands tall under pressure, or do you fold just to keep the peace? This is where the Sigma male rises. Sigmas don't bend just to win favor. They don't rewrite their principles for the sake of temporary approval. Unlike alphas, who might assert dominance through control, or betas, who give in to maintain harmony, Sigmas lead themselves. They live by a self-written code, one carved from self-awareness, discipline, and purpose. That code is non-negotiable. If someone comes along and tries to pull them off their path, they don't react with drama, they respond with detachment. You'll never see a Sigma chasing validation or watering down his identity to make someone else comfortable. This stoic resolve isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. Psychologically, people are drawn to individuals with firm boundaries because it signals self-respect and emotional intelligence. A 2021 study found that individuals with clear personal standards were perceived as more competent and trustworthy. So when you hold your frame, meaning you maintain your mental, emotional, and moral position, you're not just protecting your peace, you're projecting strength. And here's the beauty of it. When someone walks away because you wouldn't compromise, you're not losing anything. You're filtering, just like a gold pan separates the valuable from the worthless. Your boundaries sift out the noise. What remains is real, those who respect you, not just like you. And respect, unlike fleeting attraction, has staying power. So if she tests you, let her. Let the test expose your strength. Let your actions show you don't flinch under pressure, because the man who stands firm in who he is the man others follow, not out of fear, but out of admiration. Number 6, the overexposure test. She overshares early. She dives into deep stories about her childhood, past relationships, emotional trauma, or dreams she's never told anyone. At least that's what she claims. She sends photos that are a little too revealing or symbolic. She opens up quickly as if you've already earned her trust. But make no mistake, this isn't necessarily a sign of genuine vulnerability. It's a test, a psychological probe to see how you'll respond. Will you match her intensity? Will you reveal your own emotional secrets? Will you mirror her vulnerability and form an instant connection? Many men would fall into this trap, believing they've unlocked some special access to her heart. But you, the Sigma male, don't play that game. You understand something deeper. Real intimacy isn't served like fast food. It's earned slowly through time, trust, and consistency. Your response isn't cold, it's composed. You acknowledge her openness, maybe even commend it, but you don't immediately match it. Why? Because you know that true connection doesn't require an emotional striptease on the first date. You believe in emotional maturity and boundaries and in the slow building architecture of trust. And in that pause, where others would rush to share and impress, you do something powerful. You show restraint. You demonstrate that you're not easy to access, that your attention, your inner world, and your emotions are not just handed out like party favors. You're not emotionally unavailable. You're emotionally discerning. That's the difference. In today's hyper-connected, instant gratification world, emotional restraint is often mistaken for aloofness. But studies in psychology show that people who take time to form deep bonds often end up in more stable, lasting relationships. This controlled pace of intimacy actually fosters deeper trust because both individuals know they're not dealing with someone who gives themselves away to anyone who asks. You're not a vending machine. You don't dispense validation, approval, or attention at the push of a button. Your value isn't in your accessibility, it's in your authenticity. And women, especially those who are used to manipulating men emotionally, find that both frustrating and fascinating. The Sigma male's refusal to play emotional ping pong sets him apart. He doesn't chase validation. He doesn't rush connection. He lets it come naturally or not at all. And that subtle, unwavering calm, it speaks louder than any emotional outburst ever could. Because when you don't rush to give yourself away, it makes her wonder what's behind the silence. And that mystery, that's power. Number 7, the let's see him crack pressure cooker. When all else fails, she applies pressure. Not always in obvious ways, but through subtle emotional tactics, unexpected drama, carefully timed ultimatums, or even the silent weapon of guilt. Maybe she invokes family expectations, starts questioning your loyalty, or suddenly accuses you of being too distant. It's not just conflict, it's a test of your mental stability. She wants to see what you're really made of when your emotional equilibrium is shaken. Will you snap and lose your cool? Will you fold under pressure and scramble to fix things just to gain her approval? Or worse, will you become needy, chasing her validation like a lifeline? This is psychological warfare, often unconscious yet deeply revealing. It's a form of what behavioral psychologists call an attempt to measure how much control or emotional leverage one person has over another. But Sigma males, you operate on a different frequency. You remain grounded. You don't get pulled into emotional ping pong, volleying back reactive anger or desperate pleas. You stay calm, observe, and choose your next move with quiet precision. If the situation is worth it, you address the problem directly, using logic and emotional intelligence to restore balance. But if it descends into chaos, if it becomes a recurring loop of manipulation, you simply exit. No drama, no parting shots, just a silent withdrawal that speaks volumes. This restraint isn't weakness, it's a form of power. In fact, studies in emotional intelligence consistently show that those who can regulate their emotions under stress tend to have stronger relationships, better decision-making skills, and higher leadership potential. Emotional control is your sword and shield. It's what separates a Sigma male from the reactive masses. You don't let someone else's storm drown your peace. Every time you choose not to argue, not to beg, not to spiral into a frenzy, you win. You reclaim power, not over her, but over yourself. That power becomes unshakable. It sends a message. You can't be manipulated, guilted, or baited. And ironically, that kind of calm strength, it either disarms the chaos or exposes it. So next time the pressure rises, remember, your silence, your calm, your exit, that's the move. Sigmas, let's get real. You're not tested because you're weak. You're tested because your very presence unsettles the norm. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. It signals depth, control, and a mind that doesn't waste energy on shallow noise. Women, and often the world around you, test Sigma males precisely because you break the mold. You're not chasing validation, flaunting ego, or mimicking trends. You simply authentic, grounded, and self-possessed. That kind of energy, it's rare. According to psychology, people often test those who seem emotionally detached because they want to understand what power feels like when it's not loud. Your discipline builds quiet respect. Your non-reaction speaks louder than words, and your refusal to perform makes you magnetic. But don't mistake the tests as threats. They're confirmations of your impact. So stay calm, stay sharp, don't conform. Being unshakable is the real power. If this hits home, drop a like, subscribe, and join the tribe. Reflect, grow, lead, and remember, never dim your light. Stay safe and stay Sigma. What if I told you, however, that when women begin acting weirdly around you, it's truly attraction, shrewdly cloaked as confusion? Ever had a woman seem genuinely interested one moment, only for her to vanish without explanation the next? Or maybe you've heard through the grapevine that she always brings up your name, even though she claims you're just a friend. Sound familiar? You're not imagining things. And no, you're not losing your grip on reality. What you're witnessing is a subtle psychological dance, and you're the hidden rhythm behind every step. You see, when it comes to Sigma males, women react differently. Why? Because you're not playing their game, you the game. While other men jump through hoops, desperate for validation, you remain composed. You don't perform, you exist. You don't chase, you withdraw. And paradoxically, that silence becomes the loudest thing in the room. It's not arrogance, it's presence. This is where kicks in a concept from behavioral psychology. It's the brain's natural resistance to feeling controlled. When a woman senses that your attention isn't something she can command, her subconscious flips a switch. Suddenly, your mystery becomes a challenge, and her interest is amplified by the uncertainty you represent. You're the unopened message, the locked door, the storm she can't forecast. And that makes you irresistible. Being a Sigma male means you project quiet confidence, autonomy, and emotional discipline. Women pick up on this energy and respond in odd, even contradictory ways. They might flirt and flee, gossip about you obsessively, or deny attraction while keeping you on their mental radar. The unpredictability isn't a bug in the system, it's proof you've disrupted the usual pattern. So what happens when women detect your Sigma presence? Their reactions won't always be obvious or romantic. They might be erratic, intense, or flat-out bizarre. But they all lead to one truth. You're not just in the room, you're under their skin. Stick around because we're about to decode 5 of the strangest behaviors women display when they sense they're dealing with a Sigma. And after this, you'll never confuse mixed signals with disinterest again. Number 1, she stares a lot, but looks away when you notice. You know that moment. You catch her staring. Deep, intense, like she's trying to solve a riddle written in your eyes, but the second you lock gaze with her, boom, she looks away. It might seem like a flicker of shyness, but it's much more than that. What you just witnessed was not hesitation, it was fascination. That quick glance away is her brain hitting the panic button because she just encountered something rare. A man who doesn't chase, doesn't try too hard, and doesn't need validation. In other words, a Sigma male. In the world of evolutionary psychology, women are biologically inclined to scan, assess, and evaluate potential mates. It's a subconscious process tied to survival and selection, but when a Sigma walks in, a man who's calm, mysterious, and detached from the usual social dynamics, he doesn't fit any of the predictable categories. He's not the flashy alpha, not the quiet beta, and certainly not the overly agreeable nice guy. He stands apart. And that difference throws the usual radar off course. So she stares captivated, trying to figure out who or what you really are. This moment of eye contact becomes a psychological puzzle. You didn't flinch, you didn't beam a cheesy smile, and you definitely didn't get flustered. That cool, unreadable demeanor, that's what makes you so fascinating. In fact, studies in behavioral science show that unpredictability and emotional restraint in men often trigger more intrigue and emotional investment from women. Why? Because we're drawn to what we can't easily explain. The human brain craves resolution, and when it doesn't get it, like in your case, it becomes obsessed. You are the man who carries himself like a question with no easy answer. You're not auditioning for her attention, which ironically grabs it more than any pickup line ever could. Your silence speaks louder than most men's speeches, and your aura doesn't beg for approval. It challenges her to look deeper. That's why she looks away when you catch her staring. It's not rejection, it's respect. It's her subconscious saying, this man is different. I need to tread carefully. Because you're not just a man, you're a presence, a Sigma male, and mystery, my friend, is magnetic. Number 2, she tries to test your silence, then gets intimidated by it. Women are used to certain patterns in male behavior, especially when it comes to silence. Most men feel compelled to fill every pause in a conversation, whether through awkward jokes, self-promotion, or excessive questions. This isn't necessarily a flaw, it's often a subconscious attempt to win approval, impress, or keep the interaction flowing. But when a woman encounters a Sigma male, the script flips. He doesn't feel the urge to entertain or over-explain. He doesn't scramble to fill the silence. Instead, he lets it linger, calmly, comfortably, and powerfully. And that's silence. It speaks louder than any words. A Sigma male's silence isn't empty, it's charged. It carries presence. While others rush to perform, the Sigma leans into stillness, creating an invisible field of mystery. Women pick up on that instantly. They're not just noticing the silence, they're it. It's a rare form of composure that unsettles and intrigues at the same time. The silence becomes a mirror reflecting back their own thoughts and emotions. They might poke at him with teasing or sarcastic remarks, trying to break through that calm exterior. They may even test his patience just to see if he'll crack. But when he doesn't flinch, when he meets their probing with a quiet, unreadable stare, that's when curiosity kicks in. In psychology, this effect ties closely to what's called nonverbal dominance. Research shows that people who remain calm and quiet in high-stress or uncertain social settings often command more respect and intrigue. In men, this trait is especially rare and attractive because it signals high emotional control and self-assurance. It tells a woman that alone sets him apart. So when a Sigma male holds silence like a weapon, it doesn't create distance, it creates depth. A woman starts to wonder the silence forces her to lean in rather than pull away. It breaks predictable patterns, it challenges her without saying a word. And in that space of quiet intensity, attraction is born, not from performance but from presence. That's the Sigma edge. He doesn't beg for attention, he attracts it. His silence doesn't reflect emptiness, it reflects control. It doesn't mean he has nothing to say, it means he only speaks when it matters. That contrast is magnetic, and in a noisy world his silence roars. Number 3, she starts to mirror your behavior, subconsciously. One of the weirdest and most telling things a woman will do when she's truly drawn to a Sigma male is subtly start adopting his habits. At first, it might seem like a coincidence. She starts listening more attentively, becomes noticeably quieter in loud environments, or suddenly develops a new interest in reading self-help books or philosophy, topics you've been into for years. You might even catch her mimicking your posture, crossing her arms the way you do, or leaning in at the same angle during conversations. It's not just flattering, it's fascinating. Why does this happen? Psychologists call it mirroring, a behavior rooted in subconscious admiration and social bonding. When someone deeply respects or feels attracted to another person, they naturally begin to imitate them as a way of creating rapport. It's the brain's way of saying, I like you and I want to connect with you. This isn't manipulation or trickery, it's a built-in feature of human social psychology. Studies in behavioral science have shown that mirroring increases the sense of connection between people and even boosts empathy and trust. But here's where it gets interesting. This doesn't happen just with anyone. It happens specifically when someone sees you as high value, unpredictable, and worth observing. And that's what the Sigma male represents. You're not chasing trends or approval, you operate by your own internal compass. And that quiet confidence creates a gravitational pull. Unlike alphas, who command attention through dominance, or betas, who seek approval through compliance, Sigmas draw people in by being unaffected, mysterious, and self-contained. You don't try to fit into the world. The world slowly starts to fit itself around you. So when a woman starts mirroring your calm, your curiosity, or even your quietude, it's not an accident. It's a reflection of your psychological presence, your vibe, your essence, reshaping the environment around you. This phenomenon isn't just romantic, it's a form of unspoken influence, and that's what makes it so powerful. The Sigma effect isn't about control, it's about being so authentically yourself that others can't help but take notice and shift themselves just to stay in your orbit. That's when you know your energy is speaking louder than words ever could. Number 4, she overshares to break your mystery. Here's a wild one. She starts opening up about everything. Her past, her fears, her goals, even her toxic exes, just to see if you'll crack and share something back. On the surface, it might look like vulnerability or a bonding moment, but peel back the layers, and it's actually a psychological tactic rooted in something known as. This is a social phenomenon where when someone shares something personal, our brains are wired to feel an urge to reciprocate. It's human nature. When someone takes down their walls, we feel obligated to take down ours too. But here's where it gets interesting. Sigma males are wired differently. They don't play emotional poker just because someone tosses a few chips on the table. This move, her rapid oversharing, is often strategic, sometimes even subconscious. It's like emotional bait. She's probing to see if there's a crack in the armor, a window she can peek through. And if you do start revealing things, it tells her how easily she can access your inner world, which for many people, especially women who are intrigued by mystery, is the ultimate prize. But what she doesn't realize is, this tactic doesn't work on Sigmas. You don't operate on impulse or social pressure. You operate on instinct, clarity, and calculated choice. See, a Sigma male doesn't just give away his emotional bandwidth like it's on clearance. He's not cold, he's precise. He understands that vulnerability is a powerful currency, not something to throw around casually. This is what confuses women the most. They're used to men who either overshare in hopes of gaining affection or those who clam up entirely. But the Sigma, he's the rare breed who listens, understands, even empathizes, but doesn't spill unless there's a reason. It's not emotional stinginess, it's self-mastery. And that self-mastery becomes irresistible. Why? Because people, especially women, are naturally drawn to what they can't easily define or conquer. So when she shares and you don't immediately reciprocate, it's not rejection, it's intrigue, it's a mystery, it's power. She might push harder, try new angles, and open up even more just to hear a single detail from your world. But you keep your cards close, because being Sigma isn't about being unavailable. It's about being intentional. You choose when, where, and with whom to share your story. Not because someone's curious, but because someone's earned it, and that's what keeps them coming back for more. Number 5, she becomes competitive with you or your attention. This one's sneaky. And if you're not paying attention, it can fly right under your radar. She won't come out and say she's interested in you. No, she'll take the indirect route. Suddenly, she's highlighting her achievements in conversations. She's independent, successful, well-traveled, and maybe even a bit mysterious herself. She'll casually mention that she doesn't need anyone to complete her. But here's the twist. She's not just stating facts, she's performing. She's subtly positioning herself as a high-value woman because she sees you as a high-value man, a Sigma male who doesn't flinch at her beauty or bend over backwards for her attention. You see, most women are used to being chased. They know the script. Smile, flirt, and the guy comes running. But when you don't follow the script, when you maintain your calm detachment and refuse to play the validation game, it throws her off. She doesn't know how to respond to a man who doesn't immediately show interest, who doesn't fall for the usual tactics. So what does she do? She adapts. She starts competing, not with you, but with the other women around you. She wants to prove she's the top contender, even if you haven't started the race. Psychologists often refer to this as mate value calibration. It's the subconscious effort to align herself with what she perceives to be your standards. When a Sigma male walks into the room, he carries an energy of self-sufficiency and inner power. That's magnetic, but also intimidating. She senses that you're not easily impressed, so she raises the bar. It's not about dominating you. It's about regaining a sense of control in an unfamiliar dynamic where she's not holding all the cards. It becomes a game of psychological chess. Her competitive edge isn't necessarily hostile. It's more like an audition. Except you're not the one watching. She is. She's trying to understand why she suddenly cares about your approval. She's wondering why she's thinking about you when you haven't even made a move. That confusion creates tension, and that tension becomes a kind of emotional gravity. So the next time a woman starts humble bragging about her success or mysteriously begins hanging out where she knows other women might be near you, know this. It's not arrogance, it's strategy. She's trying to solve the Sigma puzzle. Not because she wants to win you over in the traditional sense, but because deep down, your indifference has awakened something far more primal, her desire to your attention. Number 6, she tries to label you, but nothing fits. You're kind of mysterious. You're not like other guys. What are you exactly? These aren't just flirtatious one-liners, they're the honest echoes of a woman's curiosity when she meets a Sigma male. In a world obsessed with labeling men into categories like alpha, beta, the joker, the nice guy, or the heartbreaker, the Sigma male is the one who slips through the cracks, defying the expected social script. That's what makes him so compelling and so confusing. Women have been socially conditioned to read behavior patterns. Alphas lead with dominance, betas follow with loyalty, and the rest tend to fall somewhere along the predictable spectrum. But a Sigma male? He plays his own game, often walking solo, but with the confidence of a man who knows exactly where he's going. What fascinates women most is the paradox Sigma men embody. You don't seek approval, yet people admire you. You don't chase attention, yet you naturally draw it. You're reserved, yet you hold intense presence. It's this contrast that triggers curiosity on a deep psychological level. In fact, according to psychological theories like the Zeigarnik effect, people tend to remember incomplete or unresolved stimuli more than complete ones. When a woman can't figure you out, you essentially become a mental itch, an unfinished story in her head. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Your independence isn't an act, it's a lifestyle. You move through the world with quiet assurance, not trying to prove your worth to anyone. You're introspective, selective with your energy, and immune to social pressure. This detachment is not apathy, it's mastery. It signals self-control, which evolutionary psychology links with higher status and desirability. Women pick up on this instinctively. They may not understand it consciously, but emotionally, they know they're dealing with someone different, someone who challenges the norm. So when they say, "What are you exactly?" well, they're not looking for a textbook answer. They're reacting to the rare phenomenon of encountering a man who doesn't beg for validation, doesn't over-explain himself, and doesn't need a label to feel whole. That's the Sigma effect in action. Mysterious, yes. Misunderstood, often. Magnetic, always. Number 7. She gets unusually vulnerable, and it scares her. This might be the most powerful reaction of all. When a woman feels truly safe around a Sigma male, it's not because he says the right things or performs some charming act. It's something deeper, more primal. Sigmas have a rare kind of presence, calm, grounded, and quietly confident. They're not trying to impress anyone. They don't dominate conversations or chase validation. And that very absence of ego is what makes them magnetic. For many women, this is an entirely different experience from the usual masculine energy they encounter. With Sigmas, there's no need to perform, pretend, or protect themselves. That non-judgmental aura creates a space where they can simply, and that's intoxicating. Psychologically speaking, this comfort is tied to something called emotional safety. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her nervous system relaxes. She doesn't feel the need to defend herself or hold back. That's when something almost magical happens. She begins to open up, not in a rehearsed, surface-level way, but in a raw, authentic one. She might find herself sharing childhood memories, past traumas, or secret dreams she's never dared to voice aloud. And it often catches even her off guard. What's powerful is that the Sigma male didn't ask for this. He didn't pry or push. She volunteered this vulnerability of her own free will, drawn by his steady, silent energy. That's not just a sign of interest, it's a mark of trust, which runs far deeper than attraction alone, and yet that trust can spook her. Once she realizes how exposed she's become, how quickly she let her guard down, she may recoil. It's not about you, it's about her suddenly recognizing the depth of the moment. That moment of emotional nakedness can feel both thrilling and terrifying. This dynamic highlights one of the Sigma male's most underrated traits, his ability to invite openness without effort. In a world full of noise, the Sigma's silence speaks volumes. His calm becomes a sanctuary, and in that sanctuary, even the most guarded hearts feel seen, held, and safe. That's the kind of impact that lingers long after the conversation ends. So, Sigmas, what do all these strange behaviors really reveal? They reveal something powerful. You're not just seen, You're not the guy shouting for attention in the room. You're the one people can't stop watching, even in your silence. While others crave likes, followers, or applause, you move with a sense of purpose that doesn't demand recognition, but always earns respect. This isn't just about mystery for mystery's sake. Psychologically, humans are wired to be intrigued by what they can't easily define. When women encounter a man who isn't seeking approval, who's comfortable in his own skin and doesn't flinch at solitude, it triggers curiosity and sometimes even obsession. The real power of the Sigma lies not in dominance, but in energy. Your mere presence disrupts the predictable. You don't chase, yet you're always ahead. You don't react, yet you're always in control. And that changes people, especially women who are used to men who try too hard. So keep moving in silence, not to hide, but to lead. Be the unsolved puzzle, not the open book. Because results speak louder than revenge, growth outshines attention, and silence, when it comes from confidence, echoes louder than any speech. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay Sigma. Hello, Sigmas. There's a reason women find you both captivating and confounding, and it's not something they can easily define. You're not loud like the alpha, trying to dominate every room, nor are you passive like the beta, seeking comfort and approval. You occupy a rare space in the male hierarchy, self-contained, emotionally independent, and rooted in purpose. Your presence doesn't scream for attention, it attention. It's the way you move through the world with a calm detachment, fully aware of who you are and uninterested in proving it to anyone. While other men chase status and recognition, you walk your own path. This quiet defiance of social norms signals strength, and biologically, women are wired to respond to strength. Studies in evolutionary psychology suggest that women are subconsciously attracted to men who exhibit autonomy, confidence, and emotional self-sufficiency. In short, the Sigma male's aloof nature isn't just a personality quirk, it's an ancient signal of genetic fitness and emotional control. Your unpredictability only fuels the intrigue. You're not always around, not always reachable, and never clingy. This absence creates a psychological phenomenon known as a concept proven in behavioral science to make people more obsessed when attention is given in unpredictable patterns. Without trying, you become the puzzle they feel compelled to solve. But here's the twist. None of this is a strategy. You're not manipulating anyone. You're just being yourself. Your silence, your distance, your discipline, they're not tactics. They're your nature. That authenticity makes you rare in a world full of performers. And in that rarity lies your magnetism. You are the storm that brews in silence, never needing to announce its arrival. You're the calm that unsettles, the mystery that challenges, and the freedom that tempts. And that's why they can't look away. Now let's break it all down and uncover what truly makes the Sigma male such an irresistible enigma. Number one, the mystery factor. Women crave what they can't control. There's a deep psychological truth at play here. Humans are naturally wired to desire the unknown. Our brains are curious machines, constantly scanning for patterns and novelty. When something or someone defies predictability, it triggers a sort of mental alertness. That's where the Sigma male enters the scene. Unlike alpha males who tend to broadcast their confidence and intentions loudly and clearly, Sigmas operate on an entirely different frequency. They don't demand attention, they it. Like shadows slipping through a crowd, they move with quiet confidence, seemingly unaffected by the need for approval. And that unpredictability, it's pure psychological magnetism for the female mind. Picture this: a Sigma male sitting alone at a cafe, lost in a book, unbothered by the world. He doesn't scan the room for validation, he's not performing, and yet, without even trying, he becomes the center of attention. Women nearby start to notice him, not because he's loud, but because he's completely content in solitude. That silent independence speaks volumes. He becomes a riddle they want to solve, a puzzle that's missing just enough pieces to spark obsession. From a psychological perspective, this taps into something known as the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency to remember incomplete experiences or unresolved situations. The Sigma male's elusive nature creates that very tension. He doesn't overshare or reveal everything. And when he finally speaks, his words are measured and intentional, almost like coded messages designed to provoke thought. He leaves just enough unsaid to make others lean in, mentally and emotionally. It's not manipulation, it's mystery. And mystery breeds attraction. What makes this dynamic even more fascinating is that the Sigma isn't playing a game. He's simply being himself, reserved, thoughtful, and inwardly focused. But in a world that often rewards the loudest voice, his quiet power becomes impossible to ignore. Women may not always understand why they're drawn in, but they are, and that's the Sigma effect. Number two, the Sigma's radical independence, the ultimate turn on and turn off. Here's the twist. Sigmas don't need women to feel complete. And ironically, that's exactly what makes women desire them more. It's one of the greatest paradoxes in human attraction. When a man shows he's emotionally self-sufficient, he becomes magnetically irresistible. You see, society conditions us to believe that a man must pursue, prove, and persist to earn a woman's affection. But Sigma males flip that script. They don't seek validation from a relationship because they've already built a strong identity apart from it. They're content with their own company, their passions, and their goals. And this independence sends a powerful message without a single word. This quiet confidence triggers something deep in the female psyche. Psychologists call it pre-selection, the evolutionary concept that people are more attracted to those who appear to be desired or hard to get. When a Sigma male doesn't cling or chase, he communicates value. He doesn't need attention, he commands it. He doesn't beg for love, he offers presence. That's rare, and in a world filled with people desperate for connection, that rarity becomes priceless. Now here's where things get interesting. Women want to feel wanted. It's a fundamental emotional desire, but the Sigma male doesn't need them, and that creates tension. Not the aggressive, toxic kind, but the quiet, psychological kind that sparks curiosity, desire, and yes, insecurity. When a woman realizes she isn't the center of his world, she either rises to meet his level or struggles to hold on. This dynamic flips the power structure. He becomes the prize, not because he says so, but because he lives like it. And when someone doesn't need you, but chooses you, that's powerful. That's when admiration turns into craving. It's no longer about romance, it's about validation. Am I enough for him becomes the unspoken question. That's when desire morphs into obsession, and obsession breeds fear, fear of being replaced, fear of never truly having him, fear of not measuring up to his quiet, mysterious standard. Sigmas don't manipulate emotions. They just move through the world with such rare composure and self-respect that it changes how others see them. And that, ironically, is the very reason why they're chased the hardest, even when they're not chasing anyone at all. Number 3, emotional control, the Sigma's power move. While others react, the Sigma male responds. That single line sums up the essence of the Sigma's emotional dominance. He's not emotionless or detached from reality. He's simply mastered the art of self-regulation. Where most men might get flustered, angry, or overly excited in stressful situations, the Sigma remains composed. It's not because he doesn't feel anything. It's because he's learned how to rule over his emotions rather than be ruled by them. This level of calm under pressure isn't just admirable, it's captivating. Psychologically speaking, emotional control is a key indicator of high emotional intelligence. Studies show that individuals who can regulate their emotions tend to have better decision-making skills, stronger relationships, and greater leadership potential. The Sigma embodies this trait not as a tactic, but as a way of life. When tension fills the room and everyone is looking for direction, the Sigma doesn't panic. He assesses, he processes, and then he acts. That response, not reaction, becomes his superpower. Now imagine a woman trying to test him, poking, provoking, trying to get a rise out of him. Maybe she wants to see if he'll crack, if he's really as stoic as he seems, but he doesn't flinch, he doesn't lash out, and he certainly doesn't chase validation. Instead, he meets emotional volatility with a steady gaze and an unshaken presence. That's when something strange happens. She gets more intrigued. Why? Because self-mastery is incredibly rare, and rare things tend to fascinate. Women are biologically wired to respond to strength, not just physical, but emotional. A man who can hold his ground when tested, who doesn't lose himself in chaos, sends a subconscious message of stability and security. This is ancient wiring at play. In evolutionary psychology, calmness in the face of stress signals competence, leadership, and protection, traits associated with high-value mates. But this same trait that draws her in can also rattle her. It flips the script. She's not in control of his emotions, he is. And that power dynamic is unfamiliar territory for many. She may be used to men who stumble over themselves to prove worth. The Sigma doesn't play that game. He simply exists, calm, aware, and in control. And that, more than anything else, is what makes him both desired and feared. Number 4, no validation needed. He's untouchable by opinion. The Sigma male's self-worth isn't tied to likes, texts, or attention. And that's precisely what makes him so different in a world addicted to validation. While many people chase approval through constant social media updates or emotional reassurance from others, the Sigma male moves through life guided by something deeper, an unshakable internal compass. This compass isn't built on ego or arrogance, but on a profound understanding of who he is, what he values, and where he's headed. He's not looking for someone to complete him because he's already whole. If a woman wants to walk beside him, she must bring value, authenticity, and alignment, not just attraction. This internal validation is what makes the Sigma male so intimidating, especially in the realm of dating and relationships. Women are often used to playing the role of validators, offering compliments, attention, or emotional support to win affection or control the dynamics. But with a Sigma, these usual tactics fall flat. He doesn't seek permission to be himself, and he doesn't crumble under pressure to conform. It's not that he's cold, it's that he's composed. You can compliment him, and he'll acknowledge it with genuine appreciation. But don't expect him to become emotionally dependent on your praise. That calm indifference to validation flips the script and leaves many wondering how to reach him. Psychologically, this level of self-containment is linked to traits such as high emotional intelligence, introversion, and a secure attachment style. The Sigma doesn't need external reinforcement to feel valuable, and that creates a powerful paradox. He becomes even more desirable because of how little he needs validation. This can be deeply unsettling to those used to power through emotional influence. Ultimately, you can admire a Sigma male, and you probably will. But the moment you try to control him through admiration or attention, you'll realize he doesn't operate on the same frequency. And that shakes the foundation of many social interactions because it forces people to confront their own dependency on external approval. In a world that constantly tells you to seek validation, the Sigma male stands as a rare figure, calm, centered, and complete. Number 5, the lifestyle choice, freedom over attachment. Here's the raw truth. Sigma males choose freedom, always. And that choice is not rooted in arrogance or selfishness, but in clarity. They understand something most people overlook. When freedom is compromised, so is authenticity. A Sigma male can love deeply, even passionately, but never at the cost of his purpose, values, or personal evolution. His mission, whether it's building something meaningful, exploring his potential, or chasing a vision bigger than himself, will always come first. He doesn't seek validation through romantic entanglements. Instead, he seeks alignment. And if a relationship threatens to derail his path, he walks away, not because he's heartless, but because he's self-aware. This doesn't mean he's emotionless. On the contrary, Sigmas are deeply introspective and emotionally intelligent. They feel things profoundly, but they refuse to get emotionally ensnared in chaos or toxicity. While others may stay in relationships out of fear, obligation, or comfort, the Sigma male is guided by a higher inner compass. He knows that love built on manipulation, guilt, or dependency isn't really love at all. And so, when faced with drama, threats, or ultimatums, he does what few men have the courage to do. He leaves. To some women, that's unsettling. Because you can't control a Sigma, you can't lock him down with passive-aggressive texts, emotional blackmail, or the classic prove you love me games. He doesn't play by traditional relationship rules. He's not driven by conquest or control. He's driven by inner peace and purpose. And when that peace is threatened, he chooses solitude over suffering. He doesn't ghost to be cruel or mysterious. He disappears because to him, peace is priceless. A true Sigma would rather be alone and at peace than attached and suffocating. This is why Sigma males are both feared and admired. They're not rebels without a cause. They're rebels with a mission. And that mission always comes before any relationship. It's not about avoiding love, but about honoring it in its purest form, without neediness, control, or compromise of the self. In a world obsessed with attachment, the Sigma male reminds us that sometimes the strongest love is the one that walks away to stay whole. Number 6, the duality of desire and fear. He reflects their insecurities. Here's where things get deep, because the Sigma male isn't just a personality type, he's a mirror that reflects everything people try to hide from themselves. Quiet, independent, emotionally composed, and unapologetically detached. A Sigma male doesn't play by society's expected roles. He doesn't chase approval, and he certainly doesn't shapeshift to be liked. And that's exactly what makes him so unsettling to some, especially to those who rely on others to affirm their worth. Take, for instance, a woman who thrives on attention. When she meets a Sigma, his calm disinterest in superficial flattery can feel like a cold gust of air. It's not that he ignores her. He simply doesn't feed the need for constant validation, and that absence. It exposes the insecurity within. The same goes for someone who desires control in relationships. Sigmas don't yield easily, and their unshakable sense of autonomy makes it clear no one can manipulate what doesn't seek approval in the first place. Even more powerful is what happens when someone is used to male attention as a way to measure their desirability. The Sigma doesn't play that game. His lack of pursuit can feel like rejection, but in truth it's just neutrality. The discomfort it causes isn't something he creates, it's something he reveals. Like a mirror held up to the soul, he silently reflects back unacknowledged neediness, hidden fears, or unresolved self-worth issues. This makes the Sigma male incredibly magnetic and equally intimidating, because people aren't reacting to him, they're reacting to what they see in themselves when they're around him. He doesn't manipulate feelings, he simply holds space for the truth. And in a world obsessed with illusions, that raw, reflective clarity is both seductive and scary. Number 7, the Sigma challenge. He demands growth. You don't date a Sigma male, you rise to meet him. This isn't your typical relationship dynamic where superficial attraction is enough. A Sigma male is wired differently. He challenges you not just on the surface, but at the very core of who you are. Spiritually, he inspires you to reflect, grow, and awaken a deeper sense of purpose. Emotionally, he encourages depth, honesty, and resilience. Intellectually, he seeks meaningful conversations, not just sweet talk or surface-level flattery. If your mind is dull, he won't be captivated. If your soul is asleep, he won't chase you. That's because a Sigma doesn't seek a partner to impress or possess. He seeks someone who mirrors the journey of self-mastery he's already on. He's not moved by beauty standards, flashy trends, or the typical games of attraction. What draws him in is raw authenticity, the kind that can't be faked. He notices when a woman stands firmly in her truth, when her presence is grounded, and when she's walking her own path of growth. To him, beauty without depth is noise. He values presence over pretense and character over cosmetics. Women who hunger for self-discovery and transformation find themselves magnetically drawn to him. With a Sigma, every conversation can feel like a revelation, every moment like a mirror to your untapped potential. But those who simply want comfort, validation, or a safety net often can't handle the intensity. They run, not because he's toxic, but because he's a trigger for change. He's not a temporary high or a romantic escape. He's a portal, one that opens to evolution, awakening, and expansion. Being with him doesn't just add excitement to your life, it rewrites it. If you're ready for that kind of journey, he won't walk ahead of you. He'll walk beside you, but only if you're truly ready to rise. Number 8, the loner energy, deeply connected, yet unavailable. Sigmas are true masters of solitude, not because they dislike people, but because they thrive in their own company. Unlike extroverts who draw energy from crowds, or even introverts who seek close-knit bonds, Sigmas operate on a different frequency. They find clarity, renewal, and even strategy in their alone time. This solitude isn't a weakness, it's a form of power. Their independence is deliberate and deeply rooted in self-sufficiency. When a Sigma male walks through life, he isn't waiting for validation or approval. His compass is internal. That's exactly why women often find him both irresistible and unnerving. His silence speaks volumes, and his confidence doesn't need to shout. He doesn't cling, beg, or play the game of constant reassurance. If he sends a message, it's because he wants to, not because he's afraid to lose someone. If he vanishes for a while, it's not a game, it's a recharge. That kind of emotional autonomy can feel liberating to some and threatening to others. How do you keep someone who doesn't fear losing you? That's the enigma. It's not arrogance. It's the rare kind of freedom that says, I choose you, but I don't need you. And that, in a world of codependency, is both beautiful and terrifying. Number 9, the unwritten rule. Women know they can't own him. There's an unspoken truth. You don't possess a Sigma male. He is not someone to be owned, controlled, or confined. You walk beside him as an equal, or you simply watch him walk away without explanation or apology. This unclaimable nature is exactly what makes him so intoxicating. Women may be deeply drawn to his mysterious aura, but there's always a quiet understanding. They'll never fully him. This isn't because he's emotionally unavailable, but because his identity isn't rooted in validation or external approval. When he gives his attention or love, it's a deliberate choice, not a performance. His love runs deep, but it's never loud, never transactional. He's immune to superficial games. You can't bribe him with beauty or sway him with emotional manipulation. He sees through it all. With the Sigma, you either rise into your highest self or he simply won't engage, not out of arrogance, but principle. So Sigmas, what's the ultimate message here? You are desired not because you shout the loudest, but because you walk your own path with quiet confidence. You are feared, not for being aggressive, but for your refusal to conform or seek approval. In a world that pressures men to chase validation, fit into molds, and compromise their truth, you remain unshaken, authentic, grounded, and unapologetically yourself. That alone makes you rare. When you speak less, the world listens more. When you move with intention, you make waves without trying. Studies in social psychology even show that individuals who display non-reactive, self-assured behavior are often seen as more attractive and powerful. Your presence doesn't beg for attention, it demands it through sheer authenticity. So if this message resonates, like, comment and subscribe to join a tribe of thinkers who lead with purpose. Don't embody Sigma traits to impress. Do it to evolve. You are the storm, the calm, and the force. Stay true, stay Sigma. She looked across the room, locked eyes with him once, and couldn't stop thinking about him. Sigma males don't need to chase attention. Attention finds them. There's something unmistakably captivating about a Sigma male. He doesn't announce his presence with noise or flash. He doesn't demand to be seen, yet somehow he's the one everyone stops seeing. Women in particular are drawn to him, often before they even understand why. It's not just about a chiseled jawline or the way he carries himself. It's the energy, the unspoken confidence, the self-sufficiency, the mystery. Sigma males operate in a frequency most aren't tuned into, and when a woman encounters that energy, it disrupts her norm. Psychologically speaking, the brain is hardwired to detect anomalies. When someone behaves in a way that defies social expectations, they stand out. Unlike alpha males who dominate spaces with charisma and control, Sigma males dominate with their silence. Their calm detachment from the crowd and their intense presence provoke intrigue. He doesn't need to boast about his achievements. His demeanor says it all. He's the kind of man who knows who he is and doesn't need external validation. Carl Jung once said, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order." That's the Sigma male, unpredictable on the outside but profoundly grounded on the inside. He lives by his own code. He's not in competition with anyone, he's just on a different path altogether. And that divergence is magnetic. It signals strength without arrogance, mystery without manipulation. So what exactly do women notice when a Sigma male enters a room? His independence, the way he makes eye contact without needing to impress, the slight smirk that hints at an untold story. They feel his confidence, quiet but undeniable. It's not rehearsed, it's real, and that authenticity, that's the hook. That's why one look turns into a lasting impression. Hey Sigmas, welcome back to the channel where we decode the Sigma lifestyle and help you live with silent dominance. Today's video is a deep dive into what women pick up on instantly about Sigma males and why it drives them wild with curiosity, confusion, or even quiet admiration. Let's get into it. Number one, the calm in the chaos. Sigma males have this rare, unshakable calm that sets them apart the moment they enter a room. It isn't something they try to project, it's simply who they are. This natural tranquility isn't a mask or a tactic. It's a deeply rooted inner stability, developed through self-awareness, independence, and a refusal to rely on external validation. While many men are busy trying to win approval, get noticed, or compete for attention, Sigma males lean into their own rhythm. They're not in a hurry to speak, not in a rush to prove, and certainly not in the business of impressing for the sake of it. And that's exactly what makes them so magnetic. In social situations, this calmness translates into presence. When a Sigma male speaks, he doesn't waste words. He doesn't try to dominate conversations, but when he does offer something, people listen. There's a psychological concept known as the law of scarcity. We tend to value what is rare. In a world overflowing with noise, opinion, and performance, a man who is composed, intentional, and quietly assured becomes a psychological anomaly. That's why women, especially emotionally intelligent ones, notice him instantly. He doesn't need to say he's confident. It radiates from him in his posture, his tone, and the way he observes more than he reacts. This kind of calm is often rooted in emotional intelligence and self-mastery. Studies in psychology show that those with high emotional regulation are perceived as more trustworthy, competent, and attractive. Sigma males embody this without even trying. Their calmness tells a story, one of self-possession, strength, and inner peace. It's the kind of calm that can't be faked, and women pick up on that almost instinctively. It's not about arrogance, it's about knowing who you are so deeply that the world's chaos doesn't shake your core. And in a time where everyone's trying to be louder, a Sigma male's quiet strength speaks volumes. Number two, the way he observes, not reacts. You ever been in a room with someone who's not the loudest but sees everything? That's a Sigma. He doesn't seek attention. Attention naturally gravitates toward him. While others are busy talking, joking, or showing off, the Sigma is quietly observing, analyzing every detail of the room, every subtle gesture, every shift in tone. He's not doing this to manipulate or judge, but because that's how he operates, always watching, always calculating. This quiet awareness, this laser-focused presence, creates an invisible force field that draws people in, especially women. Women often say they feel seen by a Sigma male, not in a superficial or unsettling way, but in a deeply perceptive one. While the average man might rely on charm or flashy gestures to impress, the Sigma does the opposite. He listens more than he speaks. He notices the things others miss. The way her eyes flicker when she's uncomfortable, the pause before she laughs, the meaning behind her silence. It's this deep attention to detail that makes women feel uniquely acknowledged around him. He doesn't interrupt, he doesn't over-explain, and that kind of restraint is rare and incredibly attractive. Psychologically speaking, this calm demeanor and detached awareness hint at a high level of emotional intelligence and self-control, traits that are often associated with leadership and maturity. According to social dynamics experts, people are generally more drawn to those who reveal less because our brains are wired to crave resolution. We want to solve the mystery. The Sigma male's silence becomes an unspoken challenge. Women find themselves wondering, who is he? What is he thinking? What makes him tick? And that curiosity can be far more powerful than any pickup line. In a world full of noise, the Sigma's silence speaks volumes. His mystery isn't an act, it's who he is. And that enigma, that rare ability to see without showing, understand without speaking, is what makes his presence unforgettable. Number 3, body language that doesn't beg. Sigma males never chase approval, and their body language is proof of it. In a world where many men seek validation through flashy gestures or exaggerated confidence, the Sigma male stands apart with a calm, self-assured presence. He walks into a room not to be noticed, but because he has somewhere to be. His hands rest easily by his sides, not clenched or restless. His posture, upright but not rigid, he's comfortable in his own skin. And when he makes eye contact, it's not accidental or timid, it's deliberate, focused and brief, just long enough to show presence, never desperation. These subtle cues speak volumes. Women are biologically wired to read body language. It's part of our evolutionary toolkit. Long before language, humans communicated through posture, facial expression, and movement. So when a woman observes a man who isn't fidgeting, shifting nervously, or exaggerating his gestures to win attention, her subconscious registers something rare. Confidence without arrogance. Presence without performance. The Sigma male doesn't need to chase the spotlight because he's the spotlight without even trying. He doesn't flash wealth or boast about success. His value is internal, and that silent confidence is magnetic. Social psychology tells us that nonverbal cues make up over 70% of communication. That means what he's saying speaks even louder than what he could say. No desperate smiles, no puffed chest, no exaggerated swagger, just stillness, awareness, control. This quiet energy confuses people at first, especially women who are used to being pursued, but it also intrigues them. His calm demeanor creates a mystery. What's his story? Why isn't he reacting like everyone else? That intrigue often leads to attraction because mystery invites curiosity, and curiosity is the beginning of emotional investment. So while the world scrambles for likes and applause, the Sigma male moves differently. He doesn't perform, he doesn't chase, he simply exists in his own frame, and that, ironically, is what makes him impossible to ignore. Number 4, the aura of detachment. There's something undeniably magnetic about a man who thrives in solitude. He's not alone because he can't find company. He's alone because he chooses to be. This is the essence of the Sigma male, a man who finds fulfillment in his own world, driven not by social validation but by inner purpose. His detachment isn't a sign of emotional coldness or antisocial behavior, it's a signal of emotional independence. Psychology supports this too. Research shows that people who are comfortable being alone often have higher emotional intelligence and self-awareness. These are not traits of someone who's closed off. They're signs of someone who's grounded. Sigma males don't need constant interaction to feel alive because their life isn't empty. It's full of goals, passions, thoughts, creativity, and quiet strength. Their silence isn't awkward, it's intentional. While many chase connections to avoid facing themselves, the Sigma male embraces solitude as a space for growth. He reads, he builds, he explores ideas, and he sharpens his mind. In a world that's always loud, the Sigma is the one who's quietly building an empire, often unnoticed until the results speak louder than any words. And here's where it gets really interesting. When a woman comes across a man like this, something shifts. She senses the difference immediately. He's not needy, he's not trying to impress, and he's not orbiting around her like a satellite. That absence of neediness doesn't repel, it attracts. Why? Because being around someone who doesn't you, but would you is rare. It turns the usual dynamic upside down. It suggests strength, stability, and mystery. This sense of selective connection creates an almost irresistible allure. A Sigma male doesn't chase validation, he offers presence, and that presence, earned rather than demanded, becomes a kind of quiet power that others can't help but notice, especially women. Number 5, he talks less but says more. A Sigma male doesn't waste words. He doesn't talk just to kill awkward silences or impress a crowd. For him, speech isn't a performance. It's a purpose in a world overflowing with noise, constant chatter, and shallow conversations. His silence is intentional. It speaks volumes before he even opens his mouth. And when he finally does, women notice. His words aren't scattered thoughts or ego-driven boasts. They're deliberate, thoughtful, and often profound. That's what makes them land so heavily. They're unexpected in a world where most people talk more and say less. Women are often conditioned to being talked at rather than spoken to. They're used to men trying to dominate the conversation, constantly selling themselves, cracking jokes, or offering empty compliments. But a Sigma male flips that script entirely. He doesn't try to steal attention. He commands it effortlessly. His voice carries an unspoken gravity that draws a woman in because it's rare. It's authentic. When he speaks, she leans in, not because he's loud, but because he's real. His words are like puzzle pieces that hint at a deeper mind and a world she's not used to accessing. And that's the real mystery. Sigma males don't just talk, they reveal, but only in glimpses. What he shares is never everything. It's always enough to spark curiosity, but not enough to give it all away. This makes his words echo long after the conversation ends. Psychology tells us that people are more drawn to what they can't fully understand. That's the Sigma's unspoken superpower. His restraint makes him magnetic. He creates a space where mystery and meaning coexist. He speaks not to impress, but to connect, to express, to reveal something genuine. And in doing so, he creates an unforgettable experience, not just a conversation, but a moment that lingers. Number 6, he's present yet elusive. This one's weird but true. A Sigma male can be sitting right next to you, yet feel miles away. It's not that he's ignoring anyone, and it's not arrogance, it's just how his brain operates. While others are fixated on what's happening in the moment, the Sigma male often retreats inward, lost in a swirl of thoughts, ideas, strategies, or personal revelations. Women notice this. They sense that although he's physically present, he's mentally wandering in realms they can't access. And oddly enough, this disconnection creates an undeniable magnetic pull. It's that very mental distance that becomes his mystique. His eyes might scan the room, but he's not analyzing people. He's dissecting ideas, replaying events, or calculating his next step. Neurologically, this tendency to introspect is tied to increased activity in the brain's default mode network, a region linked to imagination, memory, and self-reflection. It's not just daydreaming, it's deep, purposeful thinking. Sigma males don't do small talk well because their minds are usually preoccupied with solving something bigger. This gives him an edge most don't understand but can't help feeling drawn to. To a woman observing this, the Sigma male is present yet unreachable. She can see him, even speak to him, but she knows she doesn't fully have him. That creates a kind of tension, a psychological gap, and here's the twist, that gap generates what's often interpreted as chemistry. It's the same reason we're drawn to characters in films who have a secret or a haunted past. We want to unravel them. The Sigma's mind is always dancing with something unspoken, and people around him, especially women, feel the rhythm even if they don't hear the music. In essence, the Sigma's mysterious vibe isn't an act, it's a byproduct of his inner world. He's not trying to be aloof, he's just wired to live in two places at once, the real world and the one in his head. And it's that invisible duality that women can't seem to look away from. Number 7, self-mastery and discipline. Women are drawn to the man who's in control of himself. Not the loudest in the room, but the most composed. Sigma males master this art of quiet dominance. Their self-discipline isn't a performance, it's a lifestyle. Whether it's in how they eat clean without announcing it, how they commit to their work without chasing validation, or how they maintain their physical form without flexing in selfies, their habits speak volumes. It's not about vanity, it's about self-respect. A Sigma male sees his body, mind, and time as tools to shape his reality, and he treats them accordingly. He doesn't need the world to clap when he chooses the gym over the party, or early mornings over endless distractions. This control over himself signals to women something powerful. This man doesn't just survive life, he commands it. Studies in psychology consistently show that self-discipline is one of the most attractive traits because it's linked to long-term stability, self-mastery, and emotional control, all qualities women subconsciously associate with security and leadership. A Sigma's ability to delay gratification and stick to his values makes him different in a world that rewards instant results. Women can sense when a man is sculpting his life deliberately, not for likes or attention, but because he's building something meaningful. It's that invisible aura of purpose and control that speaks louder than words. So while others seek applause, the Sigma earns quiet admiration, often without saying a thing. Number 8, his independence isn't just financial. A lot of guys talk about being independent, but Sigma males it in every sense of the word. This isn't just about paying rent on time or having a job. A Sigma male builds a life that runs on his own terms. He doesn't need the crowd's applause to feel worthy, and he certainly doesn't rely on constant companionship to feel complete. His independence runs deep, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. He thinks for himself, acts with purpose, and isn't afraid of solitude. In fact, he thrives in it. Unlike others who may talk about their future, the Sigma male quietly plans his next move like a chess master, calculating risks, building wealth, and designing a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. This level of autonomy is magnetic. Women who've been around needy, insecure men often find themselves stunned by a Sigma's self-sufficiency. He's not trying to impress, and yet he does. He's not looking to be saved, and yet he becomes the safe space. His emotional stability speaks volumes, even in silence, which is why some find him intimidating. They can't control or predict him. But to others, especially women craving strength and certainty, his independence is nothing short of irresistible. Number 9, he's unpredictable in the best way. Predictability is boring. And Sigma males? They're anything but predictable. These men thrive in the unexpected, refusing to live by routine or societal expectations. One moment he's immersed in a stack of philosophical books, decoding the complexities of life, and the next he's off the grid, hiking a misty mountain trail he didn't even plan to visit. This isn't randomness, it's a reflection of inner depth. Sigmas are driven by curiosity and self-discovery, and that journey rarely follows a straight line. Their unpredictability isn't about being reckless, it's about living with intention, just not the kind that fits into a box. Women find this magnetically intriguing, not because he's trying to impress, but because he's impressive in how he moves through life. His surprises aren't about chocolates or grand gestures. They're about moments that reveal who he truly is. One day it might be a spontaneous conversation about the universe over coffee. Another, it's a sudden invitation to go stargazing in silence. This depth and spontaneity create emotional resonance. Psychology tells us that novelty activates the brain's reward center. So when a woman is around a Sigma male, her mind lights up, not from what he gives, but from who he authentically is. Number 10, he's focused on purpose, not people. Sigma males are driven not by the applause of the crowd or the lure of social approval, but by something much deeper, purpose. Unlike others who chase likes, fame, or validation, the Sigma male is often on a personal mission. He's building something, chasing mastery, or relentlessly carving out a life on his own terms. His ambition isn't loud, it doesn't need to be. It's the quiet, unshakable fire behind his eyes. Women notice this immediately, not because he flaunts it, but because it radiates from him without trying. This kind of self-directed focus is rare in a world full of distractions and noise. When a woman encounters a Sigma, she quickly understands that he's not just looking for company. He's building a legacy, and if she wants to be part of his life, she must contribute to it, not compete with or derail it. His time and energy are precious, invested only in things that serve his larger mission. That's the unspoken standard he sets. It's not arrogance, it's intention. That's what separates him from the rest. While others seek to impress, the Sigma simply lives with purpose. And in a world starving for meaning, that kind of presence is magnetic. Sigmas, here's the truth. You don't need to change to be seen. You're already being noticed for exactly who you are. The calm, the silence, the purpose, the mystery, all of it tells the world that you move differently, and that difference, it's your superpower. So keep refining, keep focusing, keep detaching from the noise and locking in on your mission, because when you walk in silent but sure, everyone feels it, even if they don't understand it. Sigmas, if you found value in this breakdown, do yourself a favor, like this video, hit subscribe and join this growing community of purpose-driven men. Apply these Sigma qualities to your life and watch everything elevate. Stay safe and stay Sigma. Every woman's eyes on you, even when you said nothing. That wasn't luck. That was presence. That quiet, magnetic energy that speaks louder than words. Without uttering a single sentence, Sigma males dominate the room. It's not some secret spell or flashy performance, it's authenticity. And in today's world, full of curated personas and loud noise, authenticity is revolutionary. You don't need loud charm, a flashy watch, or a million followers to be irresistible. In fact, the most magnetic man is the one who doesn't try at all. That's the Sigma. He doesn't seek approval, he doesn't beg for attention. Instead, he commands it through quiet confidence, emotional intelligence, and razor-sharp self-awareness. The Sigma male doesn't conform to traditional social hierarchies. He lives outside them, choosing independence over popularity and depth over surface. And women, they notice. Subconsciously, they're drawn to these traits because they signal strength, mystery, and self-sufficiency, qualities rooted in evolutionary psychology. A 2010 study from the University of British Columbia found that women are more attracted to men who appear proud, brooding, or even slightly withdrawn over those who are overly cheerful and expressive. Why? Because those traits imply capability, dominance, and emotional control, things our biology still responds to on a primal level. Today, we're unpacking 7 irresistible Sigma male traits that women can't resist, and why they can't help but be drawn to these lone wolves. From unshakable independence to emotional detachment that hints at deep inner strength, Sigma males possess a unique frequency that stands out in a world of noise. This isn't about manipulation or playing games, it's about mindset. It's about understanding your value, protecting your energy, and mastering your presence. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And Sigmas? They're already walking that path. Their magnetism doesn't come from trying to be liked, it comes from being real, being whole, and being unapologetically themselves. So buckle up, Sigmas, let's dive in. Trait 1, unapologetic independence. Sigmas move like they don't need anyone, and that's exactly why everyone wants them. It's a paradox that defines their magnetism. You see, independence in a Sigma male isn't just about living solo or avoiding commitment. It's a deeper, almost spiritual form of self-sufficiency. They aren't running from connection. They're rooted in their own sense of identity, mission, and value. That's rare in a world where most people crave external validation, and women, they notice, they feel it. That lack of neediness doesn't come off as cold, it comes off as confident. No over-texting, no seeking approval, just a calm, grounded presence that says, "I'm here because I want to be, not because I need to be." Psychologically, this is called secure detachment. It's a trait that highly independent personalities like Sigmas exhibit. Studies in behavioral science have shown that emotional self-sufficiency can be incredibly attractive, especially in dating dynamics. Why? Because it communicates high value. When someone is clearly okay on their own, it suggests they've got options, and that triggers something primal. It's like emotional supply and demand. Scarcity makes something more desirable. And when a Sigma male says, "I'm good either way," he means it. That's not game. It's clarity. He knows what he brings to the table and doesn't hinge his identity on being accepted or rejected. That's intimidating and alluring all at once. Emotional detachment doesn't mean he's numb, it just means he's not desperate. That balanced energy draws people in, especially women who are tired of emotional chaos. Humor break? Picture this. A Sigma gets invited to a party. Everyone's excited. People are texting, hyping it up. But guess what? He ghosts it before he even arrives. Not because he's antisocial, but because halfway through putting on his shoes, he realizes he'd rather spend the evening building something, reading something, or simply enjoying his own thoughts. Independence? Check. Time efficiency, double check. That's the Sigma way, unapologetically selective with time, energy, and emotion. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. And in a world overflowing with noise, that kind of self-contained calm stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Trait 2, mysterious aura. Let's be real. Women love a mystery. It's not just a cliche, it's psychology. Humans are naturally drawn to puzzles, and Sigma males are walking enigmas. While most guys are quick to spill their entire life story over a few texts, hoping to impress or build instant intimacy, Sigmas move differently. They operate with restraint. Every word, every story, every detail is earned, not dumped. It's like watching a slow-burn Netflix series where the main character reveals himself one episode at a time. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't feel the need to narrate his entire past on the first date. This deliberate pacing creates anticipation. It keeps her mentally engaged, emotionally curious, and romantically hooked. She begins to read between the lines, picking up on his silences, his gaze, his energy. And just when she thinks she's got him all figured out, boom, he shifts. He reveals a new layer, an unexpected perspective, a hidden passion. That unpredictability isn't confusion, it's charisma. The science of attraction confirms that unpredictability increases dopamine in the brain, the same chemical associated with pleasure and reward. In short, mystery makes things exciting, and Sigmas know how to harness that. But here's the twist. Being mysterious isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about self-respect. It's the unshakable confidence of a man who knows his worth. He doesn't offer it up like a discount sale. He lets people access to his inner world. And that energy, it's rare. Because in a world full of oversharers and approval seekers, the Sigma stands out by simply being selective. This doesn't make him cold, it makes him captivating. He's not detached, just disciplined. He's not secretive, just sovereign. And the result is powerful. He becomes the man who commands attention without demanding it, the man who inspires curiosity, not because he's trying, but because he's living with intentional mystery. Trait 3, laser-sharp purpose. Nothing turns heads like a man who knows exactly where he's going. There's something profoundly magnetic about a man who walks with certainty, not because he's showing off, but because he knows who he is and what he stands for. This is the essence of the Sigma male. Sigmas don't drift aimlessly through life. They move with a clear direction, guided not by trends or public approval, but by a deeply rooted sense of purpose. They're not chasing after social validation or fleeting fame. They're building something that lasts. While others are busy clamoring for attention, showing off on social media, or trying to keep up with the noise of the world, the Sigma is building silently, letting results do the talking. This is a man with a mission, and that mission defines him. And here's where science backs it up. Psychological studies show that people are naturally drawn to individuals who exhibit goal-directed behavior. It's called the goal gradient effect. The closer someone appears to be to achieving a meaningful goal, the more compelling they become to others. In the Sigma's case, his clarity and self-direction make him irresistibly attractive. Women in particular find this energy alluring, not because he's trying to impress them, but because he doesn't need to. His focus becomes a gravitational pull. It communicates discipline, strength, and self-respect. These are not just personality traits, they're signals of leadership, of a man who can build and sustain a vision. And here's the motivational gem. When you build your life like it's your empire, others will want to be part of it. You become the architect of something bigger than yourself, a legacy, a standard, a movement. People don't just follow men with money or looks, they follow men with momentum. And the Sigma's momentum doesn't come from outside forces. It comes from within. His ambition isn't noisy, it's quiet, relentless, and unstoppable. That's what turns heads. That's what earns respect, because a man with purpose doesn't need permission to lead. He already is. Trait 4, silent confidence. Confidence doesn't always shout. Sometimes it doesn't need to enter a room with fireworks or announce itself with loud declarations. That's the essence of the Sigma male. The man who doesn't seek validation, attention, or praise, yet commands all three without lifting a finger. Sigmas don't brag about their achievements. They don't feel the need to broadcast their ambitions or flaunt their lifestyle. Instead, they move through life with quiet determination and a calm, almost mysterious energy. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. They walk like they've already won the war, not because they're better than everyone else, but because they've made peace with who they are. That's real confidence. Psychologically, this kind of self-assured behavior has a magnetic pull, especially when it comes to how women perceive it. Studies in evolutionary psychology have shown that women are instinctively drawn to men who display traits of competence, control, and emotional stability. These aren't men who desperately chase attention or validation. Instead, they radiate a sense of internal security. This is because such traits subconsciously signal a man's ability to protect, provide, and lead, a primal cue that still influences attraction today. In a noisy world filled with overcompensation and performative masculinity, the Sigma's quiet confidence is like a breath of fresh air. It signals strength without aggression, leadership without dominance, and security without neediness. Here's the kicker. When you're truly confident, you don't have to prove it to anyone. You don't need the flashy car, the loud voice, or the constant social media updates. And paradoxically, the moment you stop trying to impress women is the exact moment they become most impressed. That's because authenticity is rare and irresistibly attractive. Women can feel when a man is at ease with himself, when he moves with purpose, and when he listens more than he speaks. Confidence that isn't worn like armor but lived like truth is not only powerful, it's unforgettable. It makes you stand out without trying. That's the Sigma edge. Trait 5, emotional mastery. Ever seen a Sigma lose his cool in public? Probably not. That's because emotional control is one of his deadliest weapons. In a world that often rewards loud voices and emotional outbursts, the Sigma male stands apart by staying composed. No matter the storm, emotional control isn't just about suppressing anger or hiding feelings. It's about mastering them. It's about knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and how to remain grounded even when everyone else is spiraling. Women respect this trait deeply. Emotional restraint doesn't come off as cold or detached. It radiates maturity, inner strength, and a sense of leadership. It tells people that this man doesn't need to prove himself with drama. He doesn't need to dominate a conversation or react explosively to make a point. Instead, his presence speaks louder than his emotions. Psychology backs this up. Studies have shown that individuals who exhibit higher emotional regulation are often perceived as more attractive, reliable, and competent. For Sigma males, this trait isn't a tactic, it's a way of life. Take this fun example. While everyone else is passionately arguing about politics over a family dinner, tossing opinions like grenades across the table, the Sigma is quietly cutting his steak, enjoying every bite, and smiling at the absurdity around him. He doesn't need to jump into every debate. He doesn't seek validation through conflict. He simply exists in his own world, unbothered, unmoved, undefeated. And that energy, it's magnetic. Women notice it. They remember the man who didn't flinch, who didn't take the bait, who stayed calm while the room burned with tension. Being the calm in the chaos is a form of silent power. It signals that you're not ruled by emotions, you rule them. And in a society that often confuses loudness with confidence, the Sigma's quiet command becomes unforgettable. His emotional control is not weakness, it's discipline, it's patience, and it's wisdom. That's why, when others are remembered for what they shouted, the Sigma is remembered for how he remained still. Trait 6, authenticity without apology. You know what never goes out of style? Being real. In a world that's constantly pushing people to fit into boxes, follow trends, and filter their lives to perfection, the Sigma male stands apart by doing something incredibly rare. He shows up as himself. No filters, no pretenses, no performance, just raw, unapologetic authenticity. This isn't just a quirk. It's a silent rebellion against everything fake. But even more than that, it's alignment. Alignment with who he is, what he believes, and how he chooses to live. And believe it or not, this kind of radical honesty is magnetic, especially to women. Why? Because most people are tired of masks. Think about how much of our lives are spent online, scrolling through airbrushed perfection. We live in a digital age where authenticity has become a novelty. Women, just like men, are constantly bombarded with inauthentic connections, half-truths, and people pretending to be something they're not. So when a Sigma walks into the room with that calm, grounded energy that says it disrupts the norm, it gets noticed. It creates a ripple. He becomes a rare find in a sea of scripted personalities. Now here's the kicker. Being real doesn't mean being liked by everyone. In fact, the truth often offends those who are comfortable with lies. People might misunderstand a Sigma, they might even reject him. But the ones who matter, the ones who are awake enough to see through the noise, they'll never forget him. Because there's something unforgettable about someone who doesn't bend to fit your expectations, but instead stands tall in their own truth. It's not just about dating or attraction, it's about energy. Realness carries a certain vibration. Psychological studies show that people are instinctively drawn to those who are congruent, that is, their actions match their words and their identity feels consistent. This builds trust, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful connection. So while trends may come and go and fakeness might win temporary applause, authenticity always wins the long game. The Sigma male knows this. He's not trying to impress. He's simply living in truth, and that right there is the most attractive quality of all. Trait 7, selective attention. This one's subtle, but savage. Sigma males have mastered the art of selective attention. They don't dish it out freely like candy on Halloween. Their time, energy, and presence are premium. And in a world that's constantly loud, always online, and begging for validation, that kind of restraint becomes magnetic. When a Sigma locks in and chooses to focus on someone, it's not by accident. It's not because he's bored or just scrolling through life, no. It's intentional, and you can feel it. It's the kind of presence that makes someone stop and wonder, why me? That's where the power lies. Because psychologically, we crave what is rare. The principle of scarcity isn't just for economics, it applies to human behavior too. Studies in social psychology show that we're wired to place a higher value on what is less accessible. When a Sigma male doesn't make himself available to just anyone, his attention becomes a reward, not a given. Women sense this immediately. Unlike the guy who's always texting back within seconds or liking every post out of habit, the Sigma holds back. Not to play games, but because he's not easily impressed. And that makes others want to impress him. It's that energy shift that builds desire. A Sigma doesn't announce his interest with flashy gestures or over-the-top compliments. He simply observes, speaks when it matters, and offers his presence like a king offering a rare audience. It turns heads without him even trying. Women pick up on the fact that his approval must be earned, and that creates curiosity, followed by the urge to prove themselves worthy of that attention. Want to drive that same kind of mystery and appeal? Don't be available 24/7. Don't constantly post, reply, or react. Instead, refine your focus. Save your energy for people and projects that matter. Be rare, be intentional, be present. But only when it counts. That's not just confidence, that's strategy. And it's exactly why Sigma males remain unforgettable. So there you have it, Sigmas. 7 undeniable reasons why you don't need to chase, impress, or beg for validation from anyone, especially not women. The truth is, when you cultivate these core traits, you stop being part of the crowd. You, the standard, you stop being the man who waits for approval and start becoming the force that shifts the entire dynamic of the room. You don't have to seek the spotlight, it naturally follows you. But let's make one thing clear. These traits aren't tricks or surface-level hacks. They're deeply rooted in psychology and self-mastery. Take independence, for example. It's not about isolating yourself from the world, but about being grounded in your identity, making decisions from a place of strength, not insecurity. Studies have shown that women are naturally drawn to men who are secure in themselves, who don't rely on constant validation. That's biology, not bravado. Your mission, then, is not to pretend. Don't mimic confidence, build it, don't fake self-respect, live it. Because the world is already overflowing with carbon copy influencers, parroting charisma and chasing clout. What's rare, what's needed is authenticity. A man who stands firm in silence, who acts with purpose, and who knows that solitude is not loneliness, but power. And to the women watching, you feel it, don't you? There's an energy you can't quite explain. A Sigma man doesn't demand attention, he draws it without trying. You can sense his calm, his focus, his edge. So if this message struck a chord, Sigmas, hit that like button, subscribe and join the movement. We're building a tribe of grounded, intentional men who master themselves, live with conviction, and leave an undeniable impact on the world. She says she doesn't want a man who plays games, but she can't stop thinking about the one who doesn't even play. Why is that? Why do women find Sigma males absolutely irresistible, even when these men barely say a word? It's not the muscles, not the money, not even the smooth talk. It's the mystery, the mindset, and the magnetism. You see, Sigma males don't operate within the standard social hierarchy. While alpha males dominate the spotlight and betas follow the rules, Sigmas do something radical. They walk away from the game altogether, and is what makes them irresistible. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. What's rare tends to be perceived as more valuable. And a man who doesn't need validation, who doesn't chase, that's the rarest of all. In a world full of noise, Sigma males are the silence that demands attention. Their calm confidence, emotional independence, and unpredictable nature are like psychological catnip. They don't flatter to impress, they speak when it matters. They don't seek approval, they move with purpose. And ironically, that's what makes others want to chase. Women are hardwired to seek out strength, not just physical strength, but mental resilience and emotional control. Sigmas exude both. Their detachment isn't coldness, it's power. And power is the ultimate attractor. This isn't about pretending to be mysterious or playing aloof. Sigma males mysterious, because they're focused on growth, purpose, and personal freedom. That self-directed energy radiates in a way words never could. So, what makes Sigma males sexier than all the others? It's not performance, it's presence. This is your deep dive into the 8 reasons women are drawn to Sigma males like moths to a flame. This isn't just about attraction, it's evolution. A quiet rebellion against the ordinary. Welcome, Sigmas, the spotlight's on you, but you'll still stay in the shadows. Reason 1, the mystery factor. Women crave the unknown. Women are naturally wired for curiosity. Psychologically speaking, the female brain is designed to scan and decode social cues more efficiently than the male brain. It's part of an ancient survival mechanism. In simple terms, women notice patterns, and they especially notice when something follows a pattern. Enter the Sigma male. While most men are broadcasting their intentions loud and clear, bragging, showing off, or trying to win approval, the Sigma remains a mystery. He's not shy, he's strategic. His silence isn't a void, it's a presence. When a Sigma walks into a room, he doesn't need to dominate it like an alpha. He simply adjusts the frequency. His vibe speaks louder than words. Women are drawn to this for one key reason, not the fake kind where someone pretends to be distant just to attract attention, but the kind where a man is truly self-contained, emotionally sovereign, and spiritually secure. That's rare, that's powerful, and that's what sets Sigmas apart. You see, being unreadable doesn't mean being emotionally unavailable, it means being emotionally selective. A Sigma isn't going to spill his entire life story on the first date. He's not there to impress, he's there to observe, evaluate, and reveal himself. Someone earns it, and that changes the dynamic completely. Most women are used to being chased, but with a Sigma become the curious ones. They wonder, what's he thinking? What drives him? Why isn't he trying so hard? This curiosity flips the script. It sparks emotional investment. It pulls her in. Scarcity plays a big role here too. When something is rare, it naturally gains value. In economics, this is called and it applies to social dynamics just as well. Sigmas don't flood the market with their energy. They keep it exclusive, and that's why it's irresistible. So if you're a Sigma, understand this. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to play games to win hearts. Your quiet confidence, your mystery, your emotional reserve, they're not weaknesses. They're your edge. And the more authentic you are in that, the more magnetic you become. Reason 2, independent like a lone wolf, not a pack follower. While other men chase trends, mimic influencers, or shapeshift to fit into social roles, Sigma males operate on an entirely different frequency. They don't follow the herd, they roam freely. This isn't just a personality quirk, it's a psychological trait rooted in autonomy, and it's incredibly attractive, especially to women who are tired of men who need validation before they can take action. You see, society often rewards conformity. Men are told what success looks like: flashy cars, loud confidence, aggressive ambition. But Sigmas don't care about approval. They don't need a crowd to validate their value. They're not rebels just to be rebellious. They're independent because it's natural to them. That level of inner freedom, it's magnetic. Studies in evolutionary psychology show that self-sufficiency in men signals high mate value. It subconsciously communicates strength, capability, and emotional maturity. A man who doesn't need a partner, yet chooses to invite one into his life, that's rare, that's powerful. When a Sigma walks into a room, he doesn't demand attention, but he gets it. Why? Because confidence that doesn't compete is calming. It's not performative. It's quiet, intentional, and real. And here's the real twist. While alpha males often rely on dominance to assert status, sigma males exude something far more potent, mastery of self. An alpha might bark orders to be heard. A sigma, he might say nothing at all, and still command respect. This kind of energy tells women, I'm not here to fill a void. I've already built my kingdom. You're welcome to join, but not required. That's not just sexy, that's rare, and in a world full of noise, a man who moves with clarity and calm is unforgettable. Sigma males win not because they try to impress, but because they impress by not trying. Reason 3. Deep thinkers are rare and wildly attractive. Sigmas are thinkers, observers, men of depth. While most people are loud with their presence, Sigma males operate in quiet power. They're not trying to win attention, they're winning insight. Instead of spending energy trying to impress others, Sigma males focus inward. They process the environment like a high-level strategist, reading body language, observing tone, picking up on energy shifts, and even noting what's being said. This habit of deep observation comes from their introverted yet highly analytical nature. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males often score high on traits like introspection, independence, and critical thinking. They question everything, including themselves. But rather than acting impulsively, they sit with thoughts, explore motivations, and align actions with personal purpose. That's why being around a Sigma can feel intense. They're mentally present in a way most people aren't. And here's what makes this deeply attractive. Women are biologically wired to value intelligence, especially when it signals emotional stability and long-term thinking. In fact, studies in evolutionary psychology show that many women find introspective intelligence and emotional restraint more appealing than flashy confidence or surface-level charm. It's not about who talks the loudest, it's about who the most. A Sigma male might not dominate the conversation, but he'll remember the details. He won't boast about accomplishments, but he'll ask questions that reveal genuine curiosity. He may not follow the crowd, but his confidence in solitude makes people wonder what he knows that others don't. This kind of depth can't be faked, and that's exactly why it's so magnetic. Sigmas don't need to tell you they're smart. You feel it. When a man listens more than he speaks, sees beyond the surface, and walks with quiet conviction, it sends a message. He's not just thinking. That's what makes him mentally attractive. And that's why women, even subconsciously, find themselves drawn to him like gravity, because true depth is rare, and Sigma males are living proof that silence can be louder than words. Reason 4, the confidence that comes from not caring. Let's get something straight. Sigmas don't chase, and women love that. Why? Because real confidence isn't loud, desperate, or needy. It's calm, quiet, and self-assured. This is where the Sigma male stands apart. Unlike the alpha who thrives on dominance or the beta who often seeks validation, the Sigma doesn't need a spotlight or a cheerleading squad. He walks into a room with one goal, not to prove. That's not arrogance. It's presence, and women can feel it. There's a psychological concept known as the scarcity principle. Simply put, we tend to assign more value to things that are rare or hard to get. Sigma males unintentionally embody this principle. They're not easily available emotionally or physically. They're not the ones flooding your inbox with compliments or begging for your time. They move with purpose. Their attention is earned, not given freely, and that makes it incredibly valuable. Women are biologically wired to be drawn to high-value traits, confidence, stability, and mystery. And the Sigma male checks all those boxes without even trying. His confidence isn't performative. It's deeply rooted in knowing who he is. He doesn't chase because he doesn't have to. In fact, chasing would be out of character. It would mean he's placing someone else on a pedestal, and a Sigma never gives up his power like that. And let's be clear, this isn't about playing games. Sigmas aren't manipulators. They're just incredibly self-possessed. They don't ignore women to create interest. They simply stay focused on their own mission. They have goals, passions, and principles. And if a woman aligns with that, great. If not, they keep moving. That level of emotional independence is magnetic. It flips the script. Instead of the Sigma trying to win her over, she starts wondering what needs to do to be part of the world. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about being grounded. And in today's world of constant attention-seeking and superficial interactions, that quiet strength is exactly what makes the Sigma male irresistible. Reason 5, emotional control equals sign emotional safety. Sigmas aren't emotionally reckless. They don't explode, they don't implode, they process, and that distinction changes everything. In a world where overreactions and impulsive emotional outbursts are often normalized, the Sigma male stands out as a master of emotional regulation. Unlike alpha types who might assert dominance through intensity, or beta types who might suppress their feelings until they break down, the Sigma male takes a different approach. He reflects, processes, and responds with clarity. This trait makes Sigmas incredibly attractive to women on a deeper, often subconscious level. Why? Because emotional safety is a powerful form of security, and in today's unpredictable emotional landscape, that safety is rare. Psychologists have long recognized that women are naturally drawn to partners who can regulate their emotions. Emotional regulation signals maturity, self-awareness, and leadership, qualities that women associate with long-term stability. According to a study published in the Emotional Consistency and Resilience are directly correlated with perceived relationship satisfaction and trust. When a woman is around a Sigma male, she notices something different. Your mood isn't dictated by every inconvenience. You don't project your stress onto others, and you don't need to raise your voice to be heard. This calm composure doesn't mean you're emotionally distant, it means you're emotionally. She feels grounded around you. That stability becomes magnetic. Your vibe doesn't swing wildly with your emotions, and that creates a consistent presence she can count on. You're not robotic or aloof, you're simply anchored, and here's the paradox. Your emotional control doesn't make you cold, it makes you powerful, because you're not just reacting, you're choosing. You've trained yourself to feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. That's not weakness, it's elite-level strength. This emotional intelligence sends a powerful message. You're safe to be around. You're someone who listens without judgment, holds space without panic, and leads without ego. And for many women, that's more attractive than charm, muscles, or money. You don't create emotional storms, you calm them. And in a world that feels like it's always on edge, your calm becomes a rare and irresistible force. That's the quiet power of the Sigma male. Not loud, not chaotic, just grounded, present, and in control. Reason 6, purpose over popularity. Most men are busy being liked. Sigma males are busy building. Let's break this down. In today's world, many men are consumed with likes, validation, and trying to impress. From social media flexing to overcompensating in conversations, they chase attention like it's currency. But Sigma males, they don't play that game. They're not out to be liked. They're out to build. Sigma males operate on a different frequency. They're not driven by trends or approval. They're architects of their own lives, focused on purpose, not popularity. Whether it's launching a business, mastering a skill, or pursuing a deep personal mission, Sigmas move with vision. And that vision is magnetic. Psychologically, women are drawn to men who exhibit purpose and direction. According to evolutionary psychology, a man with ambition and drive signals long-term security and leadership. In short, when a man knows where he's going, it subconsciously tells a woman he can lead her somewhere worth following. Unlike alpha males who often dominate the spotlight, Sigmas prefer the shadows, but don't mistake silence for weakness. While others post highlight reels, the Sigma builds in silence, letting results speak. He shows up not once, but day after day, quietly, consistently, relentlessly, and here's the twist. While others chase women, the Sigma builds a life that makes women chase him. When a woman witnesses your dedication, sees you grind for your vision, and watches you make progress brick by brick, she starts imagining herself as part of the world you're creating. Not because you begged for her attention, but because you earned her admiration. It's not about flashy charisma, it's about authentic commitment. Sigma males are not trying to impress, they're trying to impact. And that shift in focus changes everything. So while most men are busy being liked, Sigma males are building legacies, and in the end, the builder always wins. Reason 7, the unpredictability that creates excitement. You're not a walking script, you're a plot twist. One day, you're sipping black coffee at dawn, underlining meditations from Marcus Aurelius. The next, you've bought a last-minute ticket to Bali, armed with nothing but a backpack and an unshakable sense of freedom. That might look like chaos to the average person, but it's not. It's charisma. Why? Because unpredictability is magnetic and not the reckless kind. We're talking about the kind that signals the ability to adapt, to grow, and to chase experiences instead of routines. See, the human brain is wired to respond to novelty. Dopamine, the reward chemical, spikes when something unexpected happens. So when you live outside the script, when you follow your gut instead of a GPS, you don't just spark curiosity, you light up her brain. Women don't want robots with predictable behaviors. They want men who evolve, who challenge themselves, face the unknown, and still walk with purpose. That's not chaos. You don't seek permission to live boldly. You don't check boxes society handed you. You forge your own. And that spirit, that raw, authentic independence, it's irresistible because it hints at a future that isn't boring. It's alive with stories, serendipity, and surprise. Psychologists call this behavioral flexibility, the ability to adapt to new situations without fear. It's a core trait of emotional intelligence and maturity. It also signals confidence, creativity, and leadership potential, things women subconsciously look for in a partner. You're not stuck in yesterday's version of yourself. You evolve. You change locations, ideas, dreams, and even definitions of success. And each transformation makes you more intriguing, not less. So when you walk into a room, you're not just a man. You're an open book still being written, a plot twist in human form. And trust me, that's the kind of story no one can put down. Reason 8, authenticity in a world of copycats. Here's the bottom line, Sigma males don't fake anything. In a world obsessed with image, filters, and performance, Sigma males are the outliers. They don't rely on cheesy pickup lines or copy-paste behaviors borrowed from some self-help dating guru. They don't memorize scripts or adjust their personalities to fit social molds. Why? Because they understand that true influence doesn't come from pretending to be someone you're not. It comes from being solid in who you are. Sigma males are driven by, not external validation. While many follow trends to fit in or gain approval, Sigmas act in alignment with a personal code. They know what they believe, they know what they stand for, and they live accordingly, whether the crowd agrees or not. This level of authenticity is rare and magnetic. Psychologically speaking, authenticity is tied to confidence, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence, traits that make people naturally more attractive and trustworthy. Studies even show that people are drawn to those who are unapologetically themselves because it signals stability and strength. And make no mistake, Sigma males, they don't show up to impress, they show up with purpose. Whether it's in a conversation, a career path, or a relationship, they prioritize meaning over manipulation. That's why they often speak less but say more. They value substance, not spotlight. When a man refuses to conform, he forces the world to take him as he is, or not at all. And that's powerful, that's bold, that's Sigma. Because unlike the alpha who leads crowds or the beta who follows them, the Sigma walks alone, not out of loneliness, but because he's already whole. In a world full of clones trying to be liked, the Sigma male is respected for simply being, and that, ironically, makes him irresistible. Sigmas, this isn't about impressing women. It's about becoming the kind of man who impresses by existing in alignment with who he truly is. Science backs it. Authenticity is magnetic. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who are true to themselves are seen as more genuine, trustworthy, and attractive. That's your edge. Your silence, it creates mystery. Your detachment, it signals emotional independence. Your calm presence, it commands attention without demanding it. In a world begging for validation, you remain rooted. You don't dilute your identity for acceptance. You build when others distract. You lead when others follow. You reflect instead of react. You don't need to explain your path, you walk it. So if this resonates, don't just nod, join the mission.